I'm here with Kristóf7s, a live looping artist who's become a standout name on the scene, winning major international looping competitions. He's known for blending styles from jazz to dubstep in his performance with a strong focus on production quality. Lately he's been performing, refining his setup, and he's just released his new album, Shocked. His setup is powered by Loopy Pro. Kristóf, thank you so much for joining me today. It is great to have you here.
Of course. Thank you very much for having me, and thank you very much for Loopy Pro.
And congratulations on the album launch, finally.
Thank you. Yeah, it was about time.
Yeah, for sure. So I wanna kind of take it back to the beginning here to get your story. Can you talk about how you first started getting into live looping? What sparked your interest? You started out as a guitar player, right?
Exactly. I had a high school band and big plans with life and being a rock star, of course. We all know the story.
Naturally, yeah.
Of course. And at one point, the band said, like, oh, shit, we have to split. Everybody has different visions, different dreams. So we decided to split, but do one more concert because that's what we do. We were really good friends, and we wanted to, honor it one more time. And you got to know that they are my best friends still, but also some of those guys are very late all the time. And I'm super thankful for that because I was on time and had a little device from Digitech, I think, that was enabling me for 15 seconds of one channel looping. But since I was alone, I was looping my guitar and practice some solos or practice some song stuff, to get ahead of myself. And sometimes they arrived and are like, oh, what's this? Like, oh, that's you alone? Okay, that's cool. How you do that? And I was starting to think that actually now that the band is splitting, I gotta do something because I want to become a musician. And this thing is fun. Like, you can just jazzy solo over your chords or whatever, and I could imagine this in a bar or a wine bar or whatever. So I decided to upgrade, and I bought the Detour looper, which was like this size. I don't know if people remember that from back in the day. It's like a DC electronic device. This size, one knob, one button, and it allows you longer loops and an overdub, so practically 2-channel looping. And I started my career looping with the Ditto, and then some friends and people told me about, oh, this reminds me of this guy. Oh, what's his name? DubFX. And I'm like, I don't know who's that.
May have heard the name.
Did some, maybe. Yeah, and back in the day, I had no idea who is he. But I did some YouTube search, and I was blown away, like, by this guy just using his voice and doing live loops, and it sounds and feels like a song, but it has a unique taste to it and a unique vibe to it, that you see the guy doing the whole song alone, doing the whole production live, and it really got to me. And actually that's why I started beatboxing, which later became a career and, some titles and everything.
Yeah.
And looping became like more in my focus. Bought my first MK1, started to watch loop battles, discovered Beardy Man, who's also a damn idol of mine. And things started to spiral.
How did you begin? How did you start learning the craft?
Experiencing different scenarios live and at home with my equipment and trying to figure out what others did, I would say. Like when I started to see these loop station battles with the Mark I, I had already some knowledge about how effects and sound design works. And that I really, really enjoyed the fact that some effects you can just kind of overdrive and make them behave differently than they should. Like when you have a delay, set it to a very little time and very high feedback, and it self-oscillates a note, basically. And I seen others doing it, and it just sparked more interest in sound design. Started to kind of... I think the short answer is just being curious. Just being...
a tinkerer.
Yeah, like figuring out how things work with production, with composing. I spent half a year in classical music university because I was interested in everything, but that was very bad. So
at least like, you know.
the education level was bad, not classical music itself, but how they try to educate. And I actually started to busk, of course, inspired by DubFX. But oh my god, I had so many crazy and stupid stories. But that's the key, I think, that you don't really think, just do it. Like,
yeah, dive in.
Yeah,
yeah.
I think that's the thing that people these days try to, I don't know, avoid, I guess, because there's so much knowledge on the internet that it becomes a trap in their mind, that they think that just because they obtain that knowledge, that somehow just integrates. But no, you have to integrate it. You have to spend so much time with your device, real life just as much as in your bedroom, and figure out stuff, and step by step.
Yeah, you just got to put the time in. It's that 10,000 hours thing, right?
Yeah, that's real.
Yeah. So jumping forward, what made you start using Loopy Pro? What were you using before, and what made you switch? Like, where did this come from?
Well, I was using the Mark 1.
The RC505 Mark 1?
Exactly, the RC505 Mark 1. And I took part in a competition organized by Swiss Beatbox called the Kickback Battle 2021. You can find it on the internet. That was the official event that introduced the Mark II. So to say, I was a beta tester for Mark II and one of the 7 or 8 first person getting the Mark II of RC505. And on one side, it was a big upgrade, but on the other side, I was still very, very unpleased, because I felt like that this technology would have been cool like 3 years ago. But right now, I want touchscreen, I want effects, I want more infinite options for whatever the hell is going on in my head, just to let it out and just have options to tweak it for myself. I kind of always dreamt of a modular thing, right? And funnily enough, that year I had a show where I opened for DubFX, my idol, and we got to know each other just a little bit, not too much. But next time he was coming back, I went to his concert, and he recognized me, and we went to an after party, and I remember him like, "Yo, you're gonna enjoy this." And he had an iPhone with him, and he had the beta version of Loopy Pro.
Yeah.
And he's just showing me like, "This is my new looper. Can you believe it?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about, bro?" And he started to explain how it works and what was the vision behind it, and that there's this crazy dude Michael doing the whole thing alone, and that he's sending requests of what should be done, and you code it like in a couple of days, weeks, whatever, and it becomes like a big monster of his own. And I was like immediately, holy shit, this is what I've been dreaming of. This is becoming reality. So yeah, that's what he's funnily the one getting me into looping, and then the one getting me into Loopy Pro directly.
That's great.
So,
yeah. Well, that's kind of his rep, isn't he? He's a bit of a trailblazer, he's all Ben. Yeah.
He's influencer in the nicer sense.
Yeah, he is. So once you heard about it, what was the transition like? Did you have to relearn a lot of things? Like, how did you move from using the RC505 over to whatever it is that Loopy Pro is?
Well, it was a little bit different for me, I think, than for most beatbox loopers or most loopers, because I had at that point 6 years of music career behind me, playing with bands, playing alone, playing this, playing that. And I had so many ideas of what I really want to do, and not following templates, but creating my own template. Yeah. So for me, opening up Loopy and having nothing on it, it was just a Christmas gift, because most people is like, let's learn the machine, let's know what are the effects. But no, here I was the one choosing the effects from the App Store. I was the one for getting the basis of my template, and then ever since it's just a growing monster, just as much as Loopy. So it's still evolving every single day, and I have no idea where it goes or where it takes me. But when I have an idea, I can just do it. This is what I wanted. And sometimes during a live show, I'm trying to do something, and I'm like, oh shit, I don't have buttons for that. So let's go home, and then I create them. So the process is so much fun. And in the meanwhile, people like Inky started to push like doing templates. So now it's even an option for people to get into Loopy and explore templates and then maybe do their own. But now it's really becoming the ultimate looper, what we need in 2025. Like really, yeah.
That's great. I mean, that's why I made it. So it's nice to hear.
Yeah, and it's great job on it, and thank you in the name of the whole looping community, man. It's insane what you did.
It's very much a joint effort. You know, you mentioned that DubFX would send me a billion ideas constantly, and it's that kind of makes it work. Yeah. So how has it changed what you do and how you perform versus what you were doing before?
Well, first of all, I heard this sentence again, just DubFX. Back then I was like such a junkie of his videos, and he said that you have to understand that the loop is just a loop. Like, it's not a bend. A loop is a loop. So it made me thinking, and what he does is that he has an amazing and very powerful voice. I don't know if anybody of you heard him live, but not live without the microphone. Like, he's so damn loud and powerful. He's got a really, really, really expressive and powerful voice, which I don't have, which I wasn't really interested in developing in, because I was more interested in my instruments. Like we mentioned, guitar is my main instrument, but in the meanwhile, I got a lot into sound design and synthetics. So those were the things that really, really moved me. But still, this sentence stuck with me, that a loop is just a loop. And Loopy enabled me to make the loop not just a loop, you know? It's still just a loop, but with some plugins and some effects, you can add kind of fills in the middle or fills in the end, or you can just put whenever you feel like you need a fill manually, and you can just add some variations and interact with the looper more in the sense, like people like to say that, oh yeah, the RC505 and loopers are instruments. And yes, but for me, this whole thing that the looper is an instrument actually started to make sense with Loopy, because now I interact with the device and Loopy on the level that I would really call it an instrument. Because I can, you know, manipulate those loops in an automatic way by loading plugins and do like presets on them. That are, I can show you that later, that are allowing, for example, me looping a drum groove, but that drum groove automatically kind of having a fill at the end of the bar or two bars by the plugin called Looperator. And these ideas of mine to make the loop feel less like a loop was very critical, because my long-term dream is basically be someone who replaces DJs. It's kind of happening already, but my dream is that DJs have their place to make a party, but my dream is that electronic music is not completely be reserved for DJs and electronic bands where they have crazy setups and triggers on the drums and so much equipment, but also one guy from the bedroom coming out, no name, and still creating amazing music with couple of devices that you can just fly around, and still it's electronic music live on the spot, just as much partyable as any DJ set, but having the live energy, because me interacting with the devices, playing instruments, it's just giving out a different energy. And you know, I don't want to sound like too woo-woo or whatever, but it's just a fact. And I experienced this in the past couple of years, that it's not just a theory, it's a fact, because I played in gigs where DJs were playing before me or after me, or another live acts which are interacting way less with the device playing, and everybody's saying that this is something, it feels different. It's not that it's better or worse, it just feels different. But that's the feeling that I want to convey, because you know, soon AI will replace commercial DJs anyway. AI will replace so much, you know, music composers anyways. So whatever we have left is the live energy, because you can put robots integrated with AI on stage, but it's a robot energy and not a live person energy. A live person can mess up. A live person can be, you know, on the groove, on the flow, or the opposite. Anything can happen with a live person, and that cannot be replaced. That cannot be simulated because it has the certain energy. And I want that energy to be present in my shows, and I want that energy to go to the people and to spread the word, because that's what we need. We need more connection with the humanness of us.
Yeah, it's real. It's genuine. It's something that will never happen again because it's happening right now.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a great vision. Well, I'm dying to find out. Can you walk us through your setup?
I will try. I will quote also a saxophone player that I played a lot with. When I asked him, like, can you explain how the saxophone works? You know, so many buttons, small buttons, big buttons. And he was saying, like, yeah, I could talk to you like how it lengthens and shortens the way of air and whatever. But the most important thing that you have to know is that it looks super complicated for it to be easy. And I was like, what the hell are you talking about? I don't get it. That's bullshit. But this is the exact same thing that I want to say about my loopy setup. It looks complicated for it to be easy. So many buttons, so many whatever, but in the core of it, it's a very, very simple setup. A lot of, you know, programming to individual buttons, but in the core of it, it's just very simple. So yeah, I have a Motu M4 sound card, and that has only 4 ins. I wanna upgrade at some point for 6 input ones, so when I play with singers or whatever, I have more room to, you know, integrate them into my setup rather than trusting a sound engineer to do their sometimes magic, sometimes opposite magic. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And basically, right now, I'm missing one element of my setup, which is a guitar. But we will talk about that. Yeah. I'm just simply going into the instrument ins with my synthesizer, which is a Korg Modwave, which is one of the best live synthesizers that I found in the market for what I want to do. And we're going to talk about that too. So that goes in. I have a microphone going in to one of the mic inputs, and the guitar would go in the other mic inputs, which is actually a combined input. So it's a jack and a XLR input, and of course I go in there with XLR. What changed over the years is that to these 2 inputs, actually I came in with a Helix, Line 6 Helix multi-effects that was handling everything regarding my microphone and regarding my guitar. But when I started to travel more internationally and play more internationally, it was just too much to carry. It's a big device.
Huge. Yeah.
But it's awesome. It's a very, very good device, but it's just too big to carry and too heavy also, because you have these limitations. And if I always have to purchase 32 or 23 kilograms of luggage, it's hard to carry. It's much more money, so I lose money on the gig because I have to, you know, it's complicated. And I found out that there are some AUV3s that are doing the job for the guitar beautifully, and for the microphone, it's top notch. So yeah, I have this 4 input from 3 sound sources, and that comes in. I have 1 shots of drums right here on the bottom, like hi-hats and snares and whatever, and it's just a drum pad basically. So what I do is that I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 colors that I'm using, which is not true because I have more, but 5 core colors, let's say. We have the dark blue, that's for drums, and I'm going to explain a little bit in a second. I have purple, which is for bass, but also I have gray down here with that little exclamation mark that is able to resample bass. I have this, what is this, violet kind of thingy that is for harmony usually. I have the pink, which is harmony and or melody. And I have blue, which is always the leads, the lead lines, the vocals, or whatever I have that is regarding that. And I set up kind of like a system that is coming the idea from RC505, where you have the track effects, and you can have the track effects on the channel engaged or not engaged. So this is the little buttons here, which is allowing me to send it through the track effects or not, the given channel. And the controls of the track effects is down here with the little tornado thing, and with the delay and the reverse delay and other stuff. And those are basically mostly presets for Looperator, which is just rechopping everything. Of course, I have a delay, but that's actually on mix bus level, so that goes to even if the track effects is not enabled, that goes to everything. I have a reverse reverb, which I'm going to show you. It's a really cool effect. Another reverse delay, granular kind of thing. I have some filters, and I have some other buttons that are doing multiple effects at the same time. For example, I have one that I call basically the NeuroBass generator. If you know Neurofunk, it has a very distinctive, distorted, wobbly, weird sounding thing. And I just put like 4, 5, 6 effects in chain, and with one button I turn them on, and whatever plays, it becomes a NeuroBass. It's crazy.
Wow.
These are the things that you can do with Loopy, and it's, for me, it's mind-blowing. I have some slicers down here in the side with these purple ones, the green ones, and the blue one, which is just the slicer, which is allowing me to play some parts. And on the green one, I have this little smart thingy that this very green down here is recording everything that is purple, violet, pink, and light blue. And when I finish recording, it stops all the loops. And then this resampled green loop can be chopped up with the slicer. Because what I wanted is to have not just slices from each loop, but sometimes I wanted to slice the mix, all the instruments at the same time. For that, I need to resample it. It plays automatically, and then I had the resampled loop, which contains everything at the same time, that I can reach up.
Cool.
And this is amazing with Loopy, that you have the idea. I want to slice everything. Okay, I can do it with maybe Tornado. Not the same, because I can only basically just turn in and on and off, like the beat repeat kind of effect.
Yep.
But what I want is to sometimes just, freestyle, mesh up, like start with the chords from the end of the chord structure and end up in the beginning or whatever. And if it's freestyling and improvising, I cannot do that with Looperator, because with Looperator you can chop it up, but to create that Looperator preset live, it just takes so much time, and that's what I don't have live. We wanted to keep it rolling.
Yep.
So this, I was thinking how the hell to do it, and there's always a solution with Loopy. This is insane. So yeah. And below this white area, I have the dark blue area, just going back to the drums, which is Looperator setups for drums. So it can re-slice my drum patterns, do like half time, or do like a jungle beat kind of pattern slice. You can do so much with it. We can talk about that in individual. Like there should be an individual tutorial for Looperator, because what you can do with that effects inside of Loopy is the best thing ever. But with drums, I have one little sneaky thing where I drift away a little bit from completely live looping. And that is that I have pre-made top loops. So in production, I learned that sometimes you can batch and save time by creating so-called top loops, which is percussion, hi-hats, crashes, so like cymbals in general, that adds the groove to a backbeat, which would be more like just kick and snare. And I made these top loops, so when I produce songs in Ableton, I don't have to start it from scratch, but I have already a lot of options, and I can just pull that up and do the backbeat, and all together they already grooving, so I don't need to figure out like how to make it, how to humanize it. And I was like, this idea would work very well with Loopy, because creating that super tight electronic sounding groove that is a little bit humanized but still very almost quantizedly humanized. I don't know how to say this, but electronic music has a very distinctive kind of very tight groove that even with my beatboxing, whenever I did just a little bit off, whenever I was on a bigger stage and the hearing situation was not that, I had to sometimes redo it, and I hate to redo stuff live as much as possible, especially with the groove. With the groove, I just want to be like, bam, done. Goodbye, enjoy, already dance. So I decided to drift a little bit from completely live looping, and those already batched top loops, I made them, and I created a button that makes them play or stop. So for example, when I start to do a drum groove, I show you what's happening, and then I explain. There you go. Yeah. So now the whole groove is in like, what was this, 10, 15 seconds? I don't know. And this is the thing that I created prior. And this is what I looped live. So you can really distinctively hear the difference between the backbeat and the top loop.
Yep.
But when they come together, they become like very groovy, very short time. And I have this step dial, I think that's what it's called, that's allowing me to have different kind of grooves. So you had this one, but I can choose another one that is related to house. For example, this one. It's a different one, or I can have maybe this one. And you can see how, and you can hear how much is happening. Looping this would take ages. Like, listen to this top loop. There's also some ghost note, there's also some ghost noting going on that is like really hard to make it super tight live. And when I do it with beatbox, it records the ambience also, and I'm losing so much from the tightness. And for me, who want to replace DJs, I need to compete with their sound quality. I need to compete with their tightness. So at this point, I decided that, okay, I don't care that this part is not live looping. I treat it as a, what is that? Like a drum machine. Some people use drum machines to loop live, which is kind of the same. That's already programmed, and you just, or you can put the programming in, but the timing is not really yours anyways.
Yeah.
So I was like, screw this. I want it to be as tight as humanly possible. And the fact is that it's humanly impossible. I tried it for many years. I trained a lot with metronome. My timing is quite good. Before anybody says that you just need to use a metronome. I know, I do it. I'm quite good with it. But still, when live thing happened, I in smaller clubs where I played monthly or weekly, I could do everything super tight. But as soon as I get out, do a different stage where the hearing is different, people shout so loud, whatever, everything just gone, it's super hard. It's super hard. And I appreciate when somebody can do it, but it's never going to be as tight as this one. So I decided to make pick my poison, and it's quite a good and tasty poison, in my opinion. And from there, things started to spiral, because I was like, damn, electronic music is a lot about groove and drums. So what can I do to interact more with drums? So I came up with this Looperator things that I show you now. So what happens here is that I...
How does that work?
It's just Looperator. It's just one preset of Looperator that is rechopping the drum groove basically by slices, and when I rearrange those slices, it can create a full new pattern. Let's say a halftime pattern. So I have the just halftime it. But then I started to think like, oh shit. So if I do this, it almost like if somebody doesn't know what's happening, it sounds like cheating. It's already kind of is like, with the top groove. So how about I have those options that keeps the drum sounds as they were and just rechopping it. But sometimes, especially in drum and bass that I do a lot, what they do is they have a drum groove, and at the end of the line, they add something called the amen break, which is just a sampled break from the, I don't want to say which year because I'm going to mess it up. So from the 19-somethings, and it's from a song.
Very
it's
famous.
A very distinctive sound, and you can probably. So kind of you maybe know this sound. It's a very distinctive sound. But then it gave me an idea to have amen breaks in my Loopy, which I process in Ableton. So they sound tight and nice and how I want it, or rechopped or whatever. But then I was like, how about not just having the amen break itself, but maybe some really complex grooves that it's really hard to make with Looperator, or that I want to have very specific drum sounds, or even better, how about having drum fills, like adding some toms and everything, that is just coming out with one press of a button. And I'm like, that's really cool because I'm still interacting with the machine. I still have those fills wherever I have it. So I'm kind of the drummer at the same time while I'm the synth player, the guitar player, and the orchestrator of the whole thing. But I can do those drums without playing those drums manually, just a press of a button. And I have a lot of buttons for that. So let's see a couple of examples for the fills. And as you can hear, so much is happening there that I wouldn't be able to loop live, but it just gives this
energy.
Feeling of, exactly, it's like a restart energy that this is not just a loop. This is more than that. This is more organic that. And I forgot to show you one because I have a couple of those, but I'm a beatboxer also, as I said. But sometimes it just sounds shit to grab the microphone and quickly do a beatbox and then just put it down and do, but I still wanted my beatbox sound. So I have also beatbox sound in there that I processed, and then I'm just can play it with a play of a button. And just move on. And these, I have these options. And I know which button is which one, and I can choose them whichever I want. And I told you about this complex groove. Let me show you one switch. That would be like, yeah, here we go. And at one point I'm like, oh shit, I love UK garage and two-step. And you can just switch. And back to the groove. But then I was like,
so much movement.
Yeah, but this is not enough. This is really not enough for electronic music. Because electronic music has one thing too, which is called a build-up. And the build-up is the moment when you have this typical tap, 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 da 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 da, taka 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 taka, and you have the riser going on, the energy is building, and then you drop it. And I was like, I need some of those also, and then you can merge everything just by the drumming. Oh, and also I have a slicer for the snare here, the gray ones. So I can just, for example, when I want just a very simple fill, I can just manually tap it. So and then I just play the snare that is inside the groove. So I have that option too. But the point is that sometimes those risers are really cool to have. And sometimes even you can combine the things together, that you have this switch, let's say, to two-step, which is that drum pattern that I showed you before. And then instead of just pressing the button again and going back to the loop, you can connect it more via having just the end of the riser or just a riser. So it would sound a little bit like... So as I said, it became like, yeah, exactly. It became the monster of its own because now I have so many different options to choose from. And also I realized when I played with singers, one more thing, and that concludes the drum area.
Before we move on from the drum area,
yeah.
I have a question about how you begin the whole session. Do you begin with a metronome and you've got a particular tempo set, or is that stuff time stretched to whatever you start at?
Yeah, so usually I choose a tempo, and the first thing that I do is either loop a harmony or either loop the kick. The kick is really good because I have it audio threshold recording. So if I have nothing here and no top loops engaged, I just press this button and you see that it turns to threshold. And when I hit the kick, it starts the session and it starts the metronome, and I just need to loop the first kick tightly. So
right,
and we're good, and we're already going. And what's happening with those little notes is I told you that I have Looperator, and you see here with this step dial that the 0 is actually not 0, but it's called auto groove, which is just a Looperator with some filters that is just creating this little extra sounds to already have some sense of groove. But if I want 0, I can put it to no groove. I show you the difference between no groove and the auto groove. This is just the kick that I looped. Oh, at the end, no, because I have some stuff turned on, but this would be the auto groove.
Yep.
You know,
give
just
it a little bit more.
Little quiet. Exactly, there's little thingies, and it's just one. It's a Looperator plugin, so technically it's still live looping, right? This is still that realm.
Well,
crazy.
It's about sort of having enough so that you can create interest without having to plod through the build. It's a fascinating dichotomy between like having everything live and having to make it all. While people wait.
You know, yeah, exactly. And that's the thing, that when I use the Mark II, which doesn't have these options, still people came up to me and said like, bro, so good DJ session. And I'm like, did you not see what I'm doing? Did you not see when I was like, I'm looping it live? Why
did you look so busy?
You know? Exactly. But I realized that people who just go to enjoy, they have no clue what is a DJ set. They have no clue what a DJ does. They really, truly believe that a DJ, just by holding those knobs, not to shit on DJs, because they have to perform, and I'm aware of that. So it's way better to hold those knobs as they are doing something, as opposed to just, not to do anything. That's completely fine. It's more than fine. That's what they should do.
Yeah.
But people really, truly believe that when they're holding that knob, they're playing the synth line or they're doing something, and it's not true, right? But then I realized that, okay, so if people has no idea, even when I explain what's happening with looping, then why do I so much care about it being 100% completely looped? I should only care that what I do sounds good, sounds groovy, people can dance to it, and it's still live enough, so I have that live energy that we talked about, that I really make a difference by energy. And if they say to me that, oh man, this was such a good DJ set, I want to take it as a compliment that they had no idea that I did this live, and that's a compliment. But
yeah, that's okay.
I have a merch coming out, little letters here in the middle of the shirt, says I'm not a DJ. So it's gonna happen because it's necessary. But yeah,
cool. Back to the drums for a moment. How did you do that initial kick? Are you timing? Are you punching in and punching out, and that sets the tempo, or are you punching in and that is setting a metronome going on in your ears, and you're punching out just when it's
The
How does
tempo is set. The tempo
Yep.
is set. So now we are at 134. And when I hit the first kick with the threshold recording already enabled, that starts the session, that starts the metronome in my ear. So whenever the next click comes, I just tap it out, the
Yep.
recording, and that creates the first loop that sets the whole tempo.
Right.
But the other way, what I told you about, is that I have nothing on the drums, okay? And I have, let's say, a piano, okay? And what I can do is that I tap the first loop, right? And I start to play the piano, and the metronome is playing in my ear already. So let's say we are 134, and it would look something like...
Cool. Smooth.
That's it.
Yeah.
Actually, it's funny because right now the metronome didn't go in my ear because I'm monitoring through my laptop. No, the RC505, which I'm using as the sound card, so I connected to my laptop. But this is the funny thing: when you play enough with a metronome, it still was on time, right?
You can feel it.
You just lock with those tempos. It's funny.
It's in your head now.
It's just muscle memory. Like at the third or fourth hit of the piano, I realized that I don't have the metronome. But don't do
Didn't
that
matter.
live. Don't do that live. Yeah. But you know, these are the things. When you don't concentrate on it, you can do it. When you want to do it live, no way. You're gonna
Yeah,
mess
of
up.
course. Yep.
But yeah. So this is for the drums. Oh yeah, and one more thing for the build-ups. When I played with singers or rappers, sometimes I figured that these build-ups, although I have different length of build-ups, different period times of build-ups, I have shorter ones and longer ones. Sometimes they are not cutting it because the rapper or singer want to do more, you know? Or I want to do more, and I want them to hold that note, and, you know, like... Or I don't know the lyrics maybe that they're using, and I'm like, where is the end? Or, you know. So I figured that I need a different approach for build-ups. Let me get back my drums so I don't waste time, because you can do this with Loopy Pro also. Buy it now. Yeah, so you know what I'm saying? You can just hit the undo and you can get back stuff that you cannot. With the RC505, it was such a pain in the ass because sometimes I really by accident deleted something that I didn't want to, and like, now what?
You're done.
Now what? Yeah.
Oh, no.
Game over.
Oof.
So yeah. But anyways, my new approach for the build-ups is when I feel like that there's might be a chance that they go longer than I expected, or may just want to leave them the room for it. I have one kind of build-up that is just basically a snare roll that is not doing anything. It's quite static. There's some groove to it, but it's quite static. So I engage that. I wait for them to do their stuff, and then I engage the proper length of build-up loop that I feel like that, okay, there's going to be the part. So to make sense, let's kind of do this as an example. So we have this groove, right? Okay. And I engage. This is quite static. It's going in the same, you know, but then I can just hit it, keep it, hold it. No, he's gonna go one more. Let's go one more. Let's do it. Come on. 1, 2, 3, drop. And, you know, this takes a lot of programming on the buttons, to be fair, because this button that I'm holding, pressing, it's doing a lot of things, but it also, when I'm releasing, it disengage that loop, that playing that static thing, it unmutes the normal drums, you know. Also when I'm playing the fills, one button press does a lot of things. Like I just show you, for example, this is a build up. This is how a build up
there's heaps.
looks like. There are quite a lot in there, and this is what a fill button looks like also. Not just one action, but quite a lot. And also I have the top loops and everything down here. I have some extra percussion sounds here, and I have it on page C also. We'll talk about that. But yeah, so there's a lot going on within one button. And also with the build-ups, I always engage delay, this master delay thingy, that is actually what the piano or whatever plays, that getting delayed and washed out, how a DJ would do it exactly. And also, it engages a low cut, so I'm getting rid of the subs when the build-up is happening. So when the drop is happening and the groove comes back, everything is full. So the build-up is tense and a little bit more narrow because I'm getting rid of the lows and a little bit of the highs. And then when I let it go, it's less dense because it's not, but like it starts to groove again. But now it has sub bass and have the top end back, and it's not delayed and watched out, but it's direct and it hits better. This is again just production stuff integrated into Loopy, and that's why I have so many buttons. So just for you to hear what's the difference, let me record just a quick bass line or something. So like, okay, and when I hit the build up, listen for the sub. It sounds narrower. Actually, stereo image is going down also. Here comes. No sub. And when I hit it back. Then there you go with the sub and everything sounds full again. So
yep.
I narrow it down. Stereo image, EQ, washing it out. And whenever it comes back, I have back the highs, the lows, the stereo image wide, and the direct sound without delay. So, yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. Can you walk us through one of those buttons just real quick? Not exhaustive detail, but I just want to...
Yeah.
So if you just kind of...
What is this? Oh my God.
Go through.
I wish I would know. Okay.
It's testing your memory.
This is... The first is press button 58, which is...
Oh, it's all hooked into like functions of other buttons.
Yeah, button 58 is actually the delay. So it's pressing the delay.
Yeah.
Because it also makes more sense to when I have the delay button already, why looking in the list for the delay and figure out like enable, disable, blah, 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 blah. Why not just pressing the button, which is amazing. Then button 70. Oh yeah, that turns off the percussion loop, the top line loop of the drums. So turning delay on, percussion's off, then it mutes probably, it mutes the original drums that I don't need because I need the thing to be played, right?
Yep.
Then it gets rid of my sidechain. That's the Flux Mini 2. We can talk about the sidechaining idea there too, but it gets rid of the sidechain. Play stop. Clip 3.5. Yeah, that's adding a crash in the beginning also because I have some crashes. Oh yeah, that's a really good feature. I'll show that, but it's just adding a crash, so it's again sounds more like a drummer.
Yep.
Then toggle pro Q3. That is the EQ things that I talked about. That getting rid of the sub, getting rid of the Then the value change slider 5. Which one is this? Oh yeah, this is actually triggering a plugin called Transit, which is actually for transition presets, and it makes that slider go up. So the changes start to happen, and that is in my track effects channel. So whatever is on my bass harmony and stuff like that, that's get affected by the Transit.
Right.
Preset.
So that's on a ramp, so it's gonna slowly move that slider up. Yep.
Exactly. And you can see that it's set for 4 bars, which is exactly the length of the riser.
Yep.
So it matches, and it's just linear
so
build-up.
cool.
And then press slider 5. Oh yeah, when you press... For that, I can do that manually also, but you have to press and hold, and when you release, that's gone. So that's why it says press. And then the release is basically just the opposite. And the press release is the actual playing and stopping of the drum build-up loop that I already have in there preloaded.
Yep.
And yeah, that's it for this one.
Oh man, what you do is a magic trick, and even though you've shown me how the trick works, it's still magic.
Well, I mean,
so
you know,
cool.
this is the crazy thing, that this is basically a song template. Like, sometimes I feel easier to write with this than with Ableton, because it's all these little details are already programmed, so I don't need to put an extra crash at the end of the thing. Because, for example, this is a what's that? The drum fill, the tom fill. And as you can see on the release, I have this play clip 3.5, which is just a crash, right? So what happens is that I play the drum, I play the tom, and what the drummer would do is like have a crash on the one of the new beat.
Yep.
And maybe I can somehow show that how would that sound without and with. Yeah, this is without it. Now I just deleted those two crashes. Okay, so you feel you don't have that arriving, and with it,
leaves you hanging.
Yeah. You know, these little details, when you put your setup together, you can exactly what you said. You feel this feeling of, you leave you hanging, like you don't get that climactic thing, bam, you know, like you don't feel that it's rolling over, but it's feeling like, yeah, it was nice, you know. So these little details, it's really cool. And that's about it for drums. I have one more or two more little tiny things, like mute buttons and tiny delay. So I have a press and release delay for drums. This is again just more option for me to interact with the machine and have this kind of feel rather than a full tom or whatever. And I have a full mute button. But again, listen, that whenever I release, it hits the crash. And what else do I have for drums? Oh yeah, I have a mute, what mutes the drums except the top line. Which sometimes is useful, because I figured also playing it live that sometimes I just want that, but rather than pressing that 3 buttons accurately, and you know, it's just good to have just one button that is a press and release, and I cannot really miss it. So it's really, yeah, useful. Yeah. And that's about drums after 1 hour of explaining. Yeah.
That is so fun, though. Thank you so much for going into all that detail. That was delightful.
And I have one more. Sorry, but this is important.
Good.
I have a crash loop that is just making everything so much more intense. Like, imagine that the drummer is playing and the chorus is coming, or the end of the song is coming, and they, instead of hitting the hi-hat or the ride, which is a bit more not that dense, they switch to the crash and start to smack that. So what that would sound like is that the song is playing, it's really nice, whatever, but the next part, here we go with the crash. Let's go. You know? And, you know, this is basically a drum machine, but it's way much more tailored to my needs, to my taste, because I make the drum sounds. I make them how I want to sound. And I have these little things that I think it's an insane upgrade when you have that extra crash, you know, because with my band, when we play, sometimes I'm like that I'm in the middle of the solo and I just do this to the band, like, come on, you know, and the drummers looks at me like, shit, okay, let's switch the crash, and like start to smack it and, you know, add more ghost notes on the snare to make everything more intense. And I was like, I want that in my setup sometimes when I feel everything is intense, to have a little bit more squeezed out of it with this. Yeah. And also for drum and bass purposes, I have a shaker that is just adding basically this. It's just a 16-note shaker, so sometimes, again, just adding more fullness and whatever, but this is not really grooved, so it doesn't work that well with a very swung groove house beat. So, yeah, that's about it for drums. Oh yeah,
Wow.
and sorry, I have 2 mute buttons. The 2 mute buttons, actually, one mutes the kick and the hi-hat region, and the other mutes the snare and the top loop, which is really nice to have because sometimes that's a good evolution or the opposite of evolution to do. So let's say I don't want to hit the mute things, but I want the drum groove to be less intense, so more like a breakdown, but not completely without drums. So what I would do is get rid of the kick and the open hi-hat. That leaves just the snare, keeps the groove, but doesn't have the pump of the kick. And also that mute button, when I unmute it, it again plays the crash. So it brings everything back. What that would sound like is having the full groove, right? Breakdown, no kick, and back with the crash. That crash is a game changer. Everybody
it's
needs that in
huge.
their setup.
Yeah.
The impact is huge. And by the way, it's not just a crash, but it has some reverb to it that is not a pre-recorded reverb, but somehow it felt more organic to have Tone Booster's reverb with a moving LFO, and that reverb sounds a little bit different all the time because the LFO is freely moving on the reverb, so it's a bit more organic. Where are we? At the very pink.
Yep.
This is the thingy and the Tone Booster reverb. And you see the movement. It does it live and it's not set for like even timing, but either dotted or maybe not time related. So it's a bit more organically different a little bit, but it's a background element, but still having it a bit more different.
Yep.
Your
It's kind of
subconscious
polyrhythmic.
your subconscious picks up on these little details that is not the same all the time.
Yep.
And it feels more analog. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. This will take a long time. Is it okay?
Oh, if it's okay with you, it's okay with me. I am so delighted to hear every detail.
Yeah, sorry, but it's a huge setup, and I didn't even realize for how long I've been already talking.
Oh no, man! This is just every moment's gold. So
thanks, man. Yeah. So moving on the purple, I have bass, and what I have with bass is. Let's see. Maybe, sorry for the more old school listeners, but I do heavy electronic music most of the times. Sometimes I'm doing jazzy stuff, but most of these trickery is needed for the heavy electronic stuff. For more jazzy stuff, it's more like you loop it, you have the variations included, the drum fills, and you play your guitar or key solos over the top, launch some acapellas, which we're going to talk about, and that's it. But for bass stuff, sometimes it's really good to have some trickery going on. So what I will do is loop some dirty, nasty sounds, like, this. And also about the Modwave, why I chose it is because it's a wavetable synth. So it's a lot like Serum or Massive, if it makes sense for anybody who knows those software synths. They are the most famous, most industry standard. But also it can have two features that is amazing for me. One, you can have samples included. So sometimes you see me do octave and do chromatic moves on the keyboard, and some people say you can tell it's not live because he's doing chromatic and the note doesn't change but the sound change and it's just fake. And it's not true, because I have some presets where one octave is actually just the same bass note of, let's say, and this one is E flat, but different textures that I made in Serum on Ableton, and I load it here so I can play it like a drum pad or something. So this is all E flat. So it's a key related patch. It's all E flat, but it's more like a drum pad, so I can make something very complex like this and still improvise with it, because I choose the rhythm, I choose which sound to play, and I choose the thing. And the first octave is actually chords. So the chords are correlating again for the E flat, and whenever the note shouldn't be in the E flat scale, it does something tricky or is just chromatic. So for example, I usually play in minor keys, and you can do like, let's have a minor key, but the first degree still being a raised third. It can sound so nice, and I have like some notes, I don't know, like I put it that way. So these are the chords, but if I want to do like a 6-7-1, which would be like, this is pretty standard sounding, but what if I want it to be like 6-7 and the 1 with the raised third? I have option for that.
Oh, cool.
So again, this is still live, but it's with a little bit of trickery. And the other feature of the Modwave is that I can have a chaos pad here and change the presets sound by interacting with the chaos pad. So that's what's happening, and it's not fake. Just for everybody.
Is that hooked up to something in Loopy Pro? It's actually running over MIDI, or is it an effect?
No, it's inside of Modwave.
Yeah,
I just
cool.
wanted to explain, so when people see me weird stuff doing in this hand, they don't say like, "Oh yeah, it's all fake. He's faking it." I got it so many times now. So
just acting.
Explaining. Yeah, exactly. So let's do an example and see what the bass channel does, because it has two built-in features that is specifically for the bass channel. Okay, so we have this very, very dirty bass sound, and what I can do is I have this purple button here, which is actually just cutting the higher frequencies and then going into a saturator, so I get a really nice actual sub bass out of it, and not just a cut down thing, but like something that have a real value sub bass, let's just say, which is cool when I have, let's say, a melody next to this loop, but maybe I want the melody sometimes to be more integrated or less integrated. I don't know. It's more in the front that this is the melody, or more part of the drop that this is the part of the drop, but this was the melody. So let me record the melody and then hit that sub bass button. Let's get rid of those super highs and let the melodies shine more. So. Yeah, so that's a built-in kind of feature that I can interact with that bass, and that changes how you perceive the rest of the instrument that I play. Or maybe I just got tired of the bass drop and I want to get rid of the kick and the top of the basses, so it could sound like... And we're back, and we can just restart it and party again. And also I did something here that is, I stole the idea from the Chaos Pad, where it has something called a noise synth, and I had it always in my setup, the Chaos Pad, just having this weird thingy, which is... It's a noise with an LFO, like tremolo kind of effect, LFO, some reverb, delay, and the XY pad is changing how fast that LFO is going, and also the resonance of a filter that creating the, you know. And the cool thing again about Loopy is that I can have this button doing this, right? But sometimes it just doesn't sound nice to have that you know, the LFO thing. So what I do is double tap. And I don't have the and double tap. And I have that back. So again,
show me how it works.
Details.
Show me how it works.
Well, that's it. Like you go in and the X value changes the Dragonfly rate, which is a tremolo.
Yep.
The Y value changes the bandpass filter center that is having a high resonance that is going through the noise.
Yep.
And then when I press it, oh yeah, I didn't say the most important thing. It's linked to a loop, which is just the noise. It's, you know, just the white noise. And when I press it, I touch it, it unmutes that clip, so it starts to play. And when I go with the XY, it makes the changes. And when I release it, it just stops that clip, so only you hear the delay and reverb tails, and that's it, and it's gone. And with the double tap, I turn off the Dragonfly, so it's just a straight noise. That's it. And the color for this would be brown. So on brown, you see the bandpass filter, right, with the high resonance. It's the loop is integrated one, actually.
Yep.
Then I have the Dragonfly, and I have a delay with also a little bit of reverby wash on it. This is the other Desert Cities. I love this plugin. Yeah, and I have a transit on it, which I'm not sure why. I don't remember exactly. But
why wouldn't you?
I'm sure it. Yeah, I'm sure there's a purpose.
That is genius.
Yeah, I love this to have in my... This was one of the first thing I did in my preset, to get rid of the fucking Chaos pad, because it's big, it's old, the adapter breaks all the time, and you have to buy new ones. So buy.
Yep.
And into this, which is really cool. And for the bass, I have one more feature. This little rainbow thing is not a ideological statement. It is to something called a color bass. And color bass basically is a sound design technique where you take a bass and put a resonator on it and make it sound like a chord, because you resonate chord notes inside of the bass, which is super funny, and it has a very distinctive sound. And this is allowing me to do color bass. And let's say when I'm just going to show you how it sounds, and then I will show you how it sounds when I combine the color bass engage, and then I rechop the bass with some Looperator presets. So this is the normal bass sound. You heard it? This is the color bass. I'm going to show you how to make it and how it's working. And what I would do is that, having the bass going, do a fill, turn on the color bass, and turn on also presets of Looperator to rechop it. So that's what you're going to hear right now. Normal bass. Then cutting the tops, and I already did so much with just a punch of a couple of buttons. I did so much movement, and I'm interacting with the machine live, and I know what does what, and this is why I'm saying that this is really an instrument. You just know where to touch it to create the changes. Same as a guitar. You know where to touch to do a G minor or major chord. You know where to touch to create a pentatonic scale. It's the same here. You know where to touch to slap on a bass guitar. You know where to touch to create the pinch harmonies when you touch with the finger and make the squeaky sound for metal. It's just the instrument, and however you touch it, it does something different. So yeah, that's for the bass part. Then the harmony part, there's not much going on, except that I'm having this track effect system, right? What I showed you before, if I turn on a Looperator preset, it makes that variation. But if I disengage the track effects from that track, it just doesn't go through that. So yeah, and also a little bit of more faded sound, whatever. So usually whatever doesn't go through my track effects, I want it to be more in the background, so that's why it happens. Yeah, and I told you this Looperator presets, which are really cool. I have Tornado, which is basically the equivalent of the beat repeat from the Mark II. So what I can do is... which is just, again, beat repeating and changing how fast that repeat happens. I have the slicer. So I can create a variation very organically, and I can resample that into gray. Okay, so basically what happens also by pressing gray and purple are connected, so whenever gray plays, purple cannot play. So they are not overlapping, right? Oops, I was like... and whenever I finish the recording on gray, it turns off the purple. So that would go like... and then I can... then I can just drag it into purple and do whatever purple things I would do, you know? And then it's gone from gray, and that's it. Which is, I think, really, really nice. Maybe I show you a quick example that I talked about, that taking the whole instrumental and chopping that up. When I say whole instrumental, I mean everything except the drums. So let me build a really quick chord structure and go from there. Bam! So it's an instrument. I'm so happy with it. Like whatever flows to my mind, I have buttons to do it. It's crazy.
I'm afraid further Loopy Pro development is going to have to stop because I've just blown a couple of blood vessels in my brain.
That's good.
It.
That's a good
That's
sign.
it now. It's done.
Well, that's crazy
Wow.
that your device can do stuff that you didn't even know.
Hell yeah.
That's really cool. That's really cool. Yeah, so I have these, and what else do I have? Oh yeah, the reverse reverb thingy. It's with one of the convolution reverbs. I think Altispace, probably. I can check it I will check it because I know that there are some nerds like me who want to know everything about which plugin, why, you know?
Oh, yeah.
So I can check it, but how it sounds, it's really cool. You know, this little ghostly weird thingy.
It's lovely.
Playing, and it's also on press release. And it is Altispace. Yes. It is Altispace. Oh yeah. And I have, as I told you, I have filters integrated, and I have this weird other kind of reverse reverb sound. it's done with other desert cities, one of the granular settings I played with and figured out. I have the NeuroBass creator, but for that I need to build the drum and bass thing to make sense. So let me quickly do. Oh, by the way, with the step dial, I also have some top loops that I use more than the others. And for double tapping, for example, it goes to rolling amen set. So I just tap it and it just slips there. And I told you I have this delay button, and I was like, such a useless button. I use it once per show. So I realized that, oh, maybe directional swiping could take me to other presets that I would need. So if I swipe up, it goes to aggressive. If I swipe here right, it jump up DMB. If I swipe down, it's swing amen. And double tap here is rolling amen. And those are also close to other presets that I'm using more, so it's less searching and more efficiency.
Great.
So now I time stretch everything to 178, but this is going to sound horrible. I'm just going to record something new, and then show you the NeuroBass Maker 2000. So this is the normal sound. And when I hit it, and with, you know, this
oh
is...
my gosh! Hang on.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I'm going to cut this bit because it makes me sound really... That was quite good.
What the crazy thing about it is that I figured... again, this is what we talked in the beginning. So much just experiencing whatever the hell happens whenever you touch something that you thought you made, and so you know what it does. But no. Of course, this works with a lot of distortion. So what happens, for example, let me loop another bass line here, and I will leave some space. And I show you how this lot of distortion interacts with space, and sometimes... I figure out also some other options. So when I can think a little bit prior, I can create even crazier sounds with the NeuroBass Generator 2000. So what it would be sounding like, let's record just the Reese bass. Now you can hear that there's a big gap there, right? So if I hit the... This is what's happening with noise, because I amplify everything and distort the shit out of it. So this is just the background noise. It doesn't sound good. But when I hit it within the context, now it sounds different. So space. Let's see. So that space with that filter movement becomes an extra layer, basically, of next texture. Yeah. But it goes further than that. Can you believe it, horse? Did you watch those TV ads, or did you have it in Austria? Australia.
Austria, yeah. No, I think I missed out on that joy.
I think it's Teleshop. That was like a famous thing here, like selling over the television, and there was this guy called Horse. He was always the end. Whatever.
Wow.
Some people might know
I missed
what I'm
out.
talking about. Yeah, you did. Big time. Okay, so let's say I have a melody also. The melody will play over the bass, but also will play where the gap is. and that is going into the NeuroBass generator also. But when the bass hits and the melody hits, the bass is going to be the overpowering element, because how distortion works is having something called intermodulation. So all the frequencies with that is going in, they are like kind of sum up and create new frequencies. And there you're not going to really be able to hear the melody playing. But whenever the bass goes away, that melody is going to be shining with that distortion, and it's going to, again, create something totally new, which is, again, just a happy accident that I figured, and from there I use it consciously. So this is the melody loop. And it just creates something totally new. And with the drums, it sounds... And you can do this also, that you mute the bass purposefully, so it's again a different variation or flavor that you want. And I have this, the green one, which is engaging the NeuroBass 2000, and also a different kind of reverse reverb, and a randomized preset of Looperator. So sometimes I just press it for fills for the normal things. That would mean. You know, and it's again press release, so I can just... Now I edit more for demonstration purpose. I would just do this at the end of the period. So it's more musical. Yeah, and I have a lot of Looperator presets, and sometimes they work nice when I do like couple of presets at the same time on top of each other. So let me get back this bass line. It's more like a jump up. Sorry. And here we go with the variation. Really cool, and then I'm gonna add one more instead of switching. Yeah, so sometimes this works better to add one preset on top of the other, because what happens is you have the new rhythmic thing, the new variation, and instead of turning that off and going back to the original and getting the variation from the original, you get the variation from the variation, so it sounds more evolutionary. Like, I have version A, I have the variant of A, and not having another variant of A, but having a variant of the A variant, if it makes sense.
It does. Is that two instances of the plugin chained together, or is that actually happening within?
This is my track effects chain.
Right. What? How is your iPad able to run all of that?
Because, as you can see, most of them are turned off.
Right. So
most of them
idle.
are turned off and only turned on when it's needed.
Yeah.
And also, so that's the thing with that.
That is wild.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yes, with the drums, I have also a beat to beat thing for the drums also separately. So it's a tornado beat to beat, but on the drums. I just have it here, so I forgot about it. So yeah, those are some really cool things. Oh yeah. One more for the. This is also more drums thing, but. We are getting to the sidechain where it gets tricky, because in bass music, electronic music, if you don't sidechain, you're gonna face a couple of problems, which for most loopers, it could be fine and not worth the hustle. But for me, I'm focusing, again, just competing with DJs, so I need the best sound possible. Pushed to insane LUFS levels and sounding just as good as humanly possible without latency. By the way, we can talk a little bit about latency management, because I figured out a really nice way to figure out if a plugin is doing some trickery and actually giving you latency or not. Because some plugins, and I'm not gonna name them or call them out for it, but they say it's instant, like no latency, whatever, and they do add very little, but they do add latency. And yeah, so both things, the finding the latency and using sidechain, is by a plugin called Flux Mini 2, which I think it's a free plugin. I'm not sure, but I'm almost sure that it's a free plugin, which is insane. And what I do is now, for now, until we don't have better solution, I'm tied to this one, and I'm also, it means that I'm tied to certain patterns of kick drums. So the variation of my drums comes mostly on the top lines, or the top grooves, or the snare or percussion differentiation, and not the kick differentiation, because with the kick, if I differentiate, my sidechain method is not working. Because I tried using envelope follower for sidechaining, but it's not as tight as it's needed for electronic music, because electronic music basically only needs that certain burst of 150 millisecond of bass to be cut out of the bass where the kick happens, and no more. No ramping, no nothing, exactly, because we don't want to lose any bass. We just need the kick to get through impactfully, and also not to build up with the bass and cause trouble on the master chain when I try to push the volume, because the bass is the first thing that starts to distort. So that's why we need this insane sidechaining method, which, again, for most of you, I don't think you need it, but for some of the nerds, here we go. What I do is I have I think 2 instances or 3 of Flux Mini 2. And I have presets for different stuff here. So this is changing the presets, right? This is for, it says it's break side. It's like the second one. Sorry, for the first one I did two kicks, but it's like that's the pattern. I have the 4 on the floor. You know, I have one for dubstep, which is just on the 1. Then I have for rhythm, which would be like, so the kick and the snare hits together there. I have basic, it's a 4 on floor also, but with less tight. It's just making it pump, so it's like a eighth note based. Then I have a trap, which is with just a different pattern. And I have more, but those more are linked in when I'm pressing those crazy drum things that I pre-programmed. So, for example, when I hit, and that's a different one. It's this one. So you can see what will happen. Let's say I have this logo. So what happened here is that this is the main drum sidechain, and whenever I hit that drum pattern, that turns this one off and turns this one on and sets to the corresponding sidechain and turns that on. So you can actually like visibly see the kicks happening with this little when the kick's hitting. You can track that. And I have variations of that depending on what is the drum pattern. so
That
much
is such a
aggression.
cool
Absolutely.
solution. Well done. I mean, I feel
Thank
guilty
you.
that you were pushed to that, but it's such a great way to work around.
I think it's one of the tightest way. What could be happening, I'm not sure, because it's theoretically should be happening or could be happening, or I don't know. If I can send MIDI into a plugin, I don't know if that's integrated already or not, because if I have MIDI input here and I put it to one shot and I somehow I was thinking about this but didn't have the time to really work on it or figure it out. But if I, by recording a kick drum loop, if I could have the exact correlate of that in MIDI, that could trigger Flux Mini.
Cool. You could totally do that.
Will be. I
Yeah.
can
Yeah, I could
put
do
my
that right
time
now.
into this.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
I can walk you through it. Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Should we? Shall we? I'm excited. Let's create a new page.
Yeah, we could do it. You got 2.0
But
running there?
the biggest question of mine is how would I get the kick drum that I recorded to have instantaneously a correlate of MIDI? Do you see what my question is?
While you're recording the audio of it, you would record MIDI of it at the same time. So you'd have it trigger recording of a MIDI clip.
Okay, but then I need to set my one-shots to also become trigger for MIDI, and only my kick one-shots to trigger MIDI, which would take a bit more programming, but I see what you're saying. So whenever I hit a kick one-shot, that also sends a MIDI record.
Yeah.
But then I have to do it with each kick samples individually. So whichever I use to sample, it happens. But now I see what you're saying. And
how many kick samples do you have when you're setting up your initial groove there?
A couple.
Okay.
A couple. And from there, I can still use the Flux Mini for the fixed grooves. The other Flux Mini. Perfect. Thank you very much already. But
cool.
Now I know that it's worth spending my time on it. Because
I think you could.
No,
it will work. So you have a follow action to, or just have it on the press to start MIDI loop recording, and then you have it send a MIDI note to it to
send
record
MIDI
that
note to that
to that MIDI clip.
And that MIDI clip sends the MIDI to that plugin.
Yeah.
Specifically.
Yeah.
Like there's an action for like send MIDI.
Yeah. Well, you just send the MIDI loop straight into the plugin.
Yep. Yeah.
You can totally do it. Yeah.
Perfect.
Maybe that will make life easier. That's fun.
Yeah.
I'm helping.
And then I can have. Thank you. And then I can have like whatever kick patterns I want to have.
Yeah.
Gold. Yeah. I wasn't sure if it's possible, so I was like, okay, for now it works anyways. Yeah. But now it's more options for me. More power to me.
More work
That's
for
amazing.
you.
Thank you. Yeah, well, I don't care about that. That's fine. That's actually kind of fun. What else I have? Oh, mixing, mastering. Yeah, of course, because we are talking about 2025, and if you sound shit, then like...
Might as well go home.
Yeah, a little bit, especially if you want to take over DJs, like most clubs and bars and everything takes DJs, well, for playing songs that people know, okay, one, but two, that, they plug in a stereo and they're going to sound good anywhere because it's mix and master music, and mix and mastering is the process where you make your music kind of unified for any sound system, or getting it ready for any sound system to sound good. Well, some of the old school guys gonna say to me that don't take this advice because this is breaking the rules and you shouldn't do this. And I agree, don't do this for jazz. Don't do this for blues. Don't do this for just a guitar. This is set up for heavy electronic music where you want to be in the face, you want to be aggressive, and you don't care if it's distorted because it's aggressive anyway, so a little bit of distortion doesn't hurt, but you can still make it quite clean by this method, because the idea is that a lot of producers, what they do is that they do their mix and they slam it into a limiter, Some smarter ones slam it into 2 limiters. Some smarter ones put a soft clipper and then slam it into limiters. The whole idea behind it is that when you share the load, each individual is not going to cause that much distortion. So when you share the load, you kind of increasing clarity and still getting that really in the face crazy LUFS number mix. But my mixing system is based on an idea which I heard multiple times on the internet. And there's one guy, and I'm really feeling sorry for him because I don't remember his YouTube channel name. But if you search for clip to zero method, you will find this guy having like 17 2-hours video where he explains a lot of things, which I can sum you up really quickly, but I really recommend go and watching at least a couple of those videos to open your mind that how many things you didn't know about, probably, or maybe you did, whatever, still interesting. The clip to zero method is basically, again, sharing limiter loads and making the most volume out of each track, and then while the load is shared, you can get to crazy LUFS numbers and still avoid like audible, not too nice distortion. I have basically a version of this inside of my Loopy because you can do it. And you can do it because of buses to buses also. That's a really cool thing. And buses to buses enables me to do my track effect system also, which is so good. Oh, and then I'm going to have a couple of bonus features, which we can talk about. But the point is that on my input, I have a limiter, which is actually a soft clipper, because, oh yeah, latency. We're going to talk about that too. The reason I use soft clipper, and that was a hard clipper actually, because that plugin zero latency. And that's a bit more aggressive sound than a limiter would give you. But for my music, yeah, let's go for it. And I can trade off a little bit of distortion for no latency. And especially live, when you put it through live speakers, that distortion, it just feels different than in a headphone or a phone speaker. It feels more organically aggressive. I don't know how to say it. It just feels different. So I'm 100% down for that trade-off. But anyways, on my input, I already limit. What it means that the big peaks, the big spikes, I'm getting rid of those. I'm not pushing any further than that, just only the big spikes that happens by a transient of pressing a synth or playing a guitar too snappy, because those transients are so microsecondal, like literally just a millisecond, you know, or 2 or 3, that if you cut it, you get zero audible distortion. Your dynamic range doesn't actually diminish at all, and you just gain headroom. That's what's happening there. Then I have a limiter on my drum channel, which is actually, again, clipper, not clipper. But as you can see, I have the Pro L here disengaged because I only use the Pro L here to meter, to see my drum loudness, to see how much I clipped off, and to have the metering not just by my ear, but I can have visual representation of it if it's still okay. Then I have a mix bus basically here, which is the same thing. I'm having barricade. Whoops. Come on. Move. Yeah, I'm having barricade, which is a limiter, compressor, and clipper if you want it. And I have everything engaged. I have soft clipping. I have a tiny bit of compression going on, and then a limiting. And I use Pro L to, again, just monitor what's happening, because I like the Pro L's visual representation, and also the LUFS metering is just way more convenient for me than Barricade. And also that's what I'm using on desktop. So yeah, again, just force of habits. So I'm metering that, and both is clipped to 20 dBs, minus 20. Oh, so many emojis. Can I turn that off?
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it?
Yeah, and especially when I don't even want them. Oh,
Yeah.
I turned it off. Okay.
Presumably it won't be baked into the video.
Yeah, well, people will laugh about it,
Yeah.
hopefully. Or they're like, oh, so unprofessional watching this.
Too enthusiastic.
Yeah. And yeah, on the mix bus, also I'm having an enhancer. This plugin, the Tone Booster Enhancer, if you don't have it, it's super cheap, even for desktop. And this is one of the best shit I ever found for what I wanted. Don't use the bass part because that creates some weird stuff. But for the mid enhancement, is insanely good. But again, I have my drums clipped to -20, and I have my mix bus, which contains my bass, harmony, lead, acapellas, whatever, to -20 also. And I get the most volume of them on sound level because my input is already clipped. Then when they interact with each other, they create new spikes because that's how it works. And I control that on the mix level by limiting them. And then I do my limiting on my master, which is actually going to be clipping again because no latency is more important for me than no distortion. And I have 2 clippers on my master. One is a soft clipper and the other is a hard clipper. And let me bring up really quickly Pro L. Okay, and you can, I can feel already the goddamn latency. And for now, I just make a clipper out of this also, so it doesn't interact in a weird way. And you can see that it's showing me the waveform. And also, I can make it show me the loudness. And probably if I hit this 2-channel thing that is nothing, like it's just drums and a bass, that's it. And still, if I hit it, it's gonna be around at least -6 LUFS. -5. Which is commercially insanely loud. Like, with other drum and bass producers, they might even push it to -2, but there you have to make compromises more with your bass. You can press less bass into it because it's going to start very uglily distort. And sometimes when I play like jazzy gigs, all I do is that I'm turning off the hard clipper because that is actually what gives the loudness. And it's, if you can look at it here, it's only 2 decibels going into the hard clipper. So I'm clipping literally no more than 2 dBs, which is not a lot. So I'm avoiding distortion. But I can turn this off, and that way I will lose, what's that? Like volume, perceived volume, LUFS. But I will gain a bit more dynamics. So when I played those jazzy gigs, I just turn it off defaultly in my setup. And you will see also the wave shape, that it won't be that much sausage flattened out. But I will still retain, thanks for the soft clipper, I will still retain the spikes of the drums. And still... Still -7 because of the clip to zero method version that I'm using here, which is still quite loud. And again, why is loud good? Because that's what the old school guys are always debating on. Why is loud better? Why, especially for live gigs, where not every live gig is made equally. Let's say I'm in a wine bar and I have to be quiet. But if I'm quiet and having a big dynamic range, it would also mean that my piano, guitar sounds, whatever, or my drum sounds, I have to pick my poison, they're not going to come through as much. As opposed to I'm having a more dense waveform on a quiet level is going to pop more. This whole loudness war in this era, it didn't start because of this, but it started elevated because everybody's listening to music on phone speakers. And on a phone speaker, there's no quality, there's no nothing. But there's one thing. Do you hear all the instruments or no? Do you hear every detail or no? And when you have a more dense waveform, you're going to naturally, the quiet parts are going to be louder also. So if you have more details coming through, yet it's still dynamic, blah, 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 because dynamic is also perceived. Like, watch Fox Stevenson interviews about this. He's going to blow your mind. But the point is that in these situations, even with jazzy stuff, you're better off with a louder mix because people on the same loudest level gonna hear more details. And as a musician, I want to show my details, you know, yet still don't want to disturb them in a way that I push the music loud and they can't talk. And this allows me to do that too. But also on those gigs, I don't want to go like -5 and have like maybe a bit more crackling or whatever. Letting it 2 decibels down, still -7-ish, something-ish. It's still quite compressed, still, you know, and compressed is not a bad word. Compression is not the devil at all. Because again, loudness and volume and dynamics is perceived rather than a number, even when the number is trying to act for your ears. So yeah, I have this all built in, and I have one EQ here just to see the waveform whenever I want to, or the waveform, the frequency response whenever I want to see the frequency response. It's not doing anything, it's just for me to meter. And I also have a stereo thingy to see my stereo field if I want to, but it's off. And on my master I have a Pro Q4 to add some flavor to it, you know, the warm setting, it's saturation basically, some mid-side EQing, controlling the very lows, adding a little bit of 30 hertz bump, which is more felt than heard, and I'm having this, which is just a tiny bit of low-mid mod side cut. This is the harsh frequencies on the side, a little bit attenuated, and if I need it, this is, again, just for jazzier gigs, I just turn this on. This is a bit more flavor to push the mids a bit more. But we're talking about 0.3. On mastering, you don't want to do dramatic shit. You want something like maximum 1.5 dBs of things to shape. And this one is another EQ, but it is for, like, for example, this. This is just a filter that is like, you know, DJ style, and it's also linked to that crash. So sometimes I can do like, you know, it's just a filter thing right underneath my finger. And
that crash does a lot of work.
Yeah, it works all the time.
MVP.
Because drummers, that's what they do. That's what they would do. That whenever there's an accent, that this is the bar beginning, or that there was an action and now we're finishing, there's a crash as an accent. So, yeah, and I have this guy, the saying, it's also just muting everything that is not drums, because sometimes I need that. That I don't want to just one by one quickly, but I just press one button and bye. Oh yeah, the acapellas and the latency thingy. Again, we're talking over 2 hours. I'm sorry, man.
Oh, as long as you're happy, I am thrilled.
Okay.
As will everyone good. Who is watching this be.
Yeah, hopefully they are, and maybe it's part 1, 2, 3 because
yeah, sure.
It's a lot of info. These are my acapellas, which means that I have some acapellas that I recorded myself, that I recorded of my singers, of my rappers, and also now I don't know about laws, so I might get in trouble for this. But I have acapellas from famous songs also that I separated with AI because DJs do it. Just to be fair, they are doing it too. That they are playing an acapella of Linkin Park over a drum and bass song. So I was like, it should be legal, I guess.
Fair use.
And well, yeah, I mean, you know, and if it's recorded or anything, I give credit. Like, that's it. But DJs do it all the time too. That they, with AI technology included into their DJ software or hardware, they press a button and the acapella is separated, and then they play their thing, their drum and bass or bass house DJ, they time stretch that acapella down whatever tempo they needed, and they play it over their song. It's kind of the same, so hopefully it's still fair, and if somebody tells me it's not, I'm gonna stop, but until then, sometimes it's nice to drop in some Chester Bennington screams over drum and bass. It's dope as hell. So I have that, and I have a different, again, step dials for choosing the acapella, and whenever I double press, it plays that chosen acapella. So, for example, if I play one of mine, so we don't get into trouble, this is shout out to MC Zeke, who's a Hungarian rapper, and again, now you saw me choosing, right? And let's say we play this, and I will double tap, and that will play the acapella, okay? Let's hit this.
Introspect, deep impact, advanced tech. Ascension on deck, enhance the bad rap. Storm through the dark with a flip it and jack. Very abstract, subsonic combat, yeah, we won that. Concrete concept collapsed in the cellular. Affected the spec, now it's horrible shit.
Shut up, Kristóf. Cool.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So what you've seen here is me performing a song where I had two verses from the same rapper, right? Whenever the rap was playing, I engaged this cut, so I just get sub bass, so he has more space for the rap to shine, right? And whenever he finished, I did a build up and do the drop, switched up the drums to bring more interest, did a build up, and then started his next verse of acapella, which, by the way, is again a little trickery there, that here in the acapellas, on the, you see Seismic 1, Seismic 2, the song called Seismic Breakage, by the way, available on Spotify with my album Shocked. Please check it out. Wow. Yeah,
dude,
so
awesome.
In the Seismic 1, I have a follow action for whenever the clip finishes, it on the stepped dial, it automatically chooses the next verse. So, because that's what I would do, but I'm saving time on this, that I'm not manually have to go there trying to do the step dial thing and maybe miss and whatever, but it automatically snaps there. So whenever I finished the interaction with my drop, then I can just double press on the same dial and it will start the corresponding acapella that I didn't have to search for. And yeah, I mean, it's game changer, man, that you can just do these things. Like, it's fucking game changer. And yeah, that's for the acapellas. Whoops. And yeah, latency. So latency and flux mini. That's the topic of the next section. Did I use this one? Yes, I think it's this one. So how you can see if a plugin is actually causing latency. I put it now in my drum channel just so you understand why am I doing what am I doing, because drums are quite transient heavy things. So I leave, let's say, only one kick I need. Yeah. Okay, so this is playing on my drum channel, right? And Flux Mini has this beautiful interface where you can see, you can set your time that this whole thing, how much time does that mean? For me, I'll set it to maybe quarter note. That's nice. Maybe if I set it to eighth note, then I see even smaller latency. By the way, whoops, whoops, no. Oh my God. Yeah, there we go. So you can see the kick there, right? And let's add maybe a plugin that will add latency. For example, the Pro L, which is funny. I think the desktop version on some of the modes, it doesn't add any latency. But here, you know, again, test shit for yourself. Test dynamics like loudness, like these information what I'm sharing with you is coming a lot from YouTube tutorials and whatever, but also testing stuff for myself. If you don't believe me that everybody is pushing their music to -4, -2, go to Spotify, buy a song, download it, put it in your DAW, and see it for yourself. Measure it. Like, that's what I'm doing, and I'm learning way more than anybody would ever can teach me. Because I'm seeing the frequency response of the song, I'm seeing the integrated and short-term loudness of the song, and all the myths that, like, only upload to Spotify to -14. Bullshit. Nobody uploads -14. Modern music. Like, Lady Gaga, actually follow Isotope also. Isotope started to do some videos that are demystifying all this stuff. Crazy. Anyways, I put Pro L, and bam, you see that little thing? That it moves? It means that that much of latency is introduced because it's supposed to be on the 1. But as soon as I put it in front of Flux Mini, the signal flow is important. So you can see Pro L is in front of my Flux Mini. And I turn it on, and you see, you can even count also because this is 1/8 note. So you can say that, hey ChatGPT, I have the 1/8 separated into 16 ways. So how many milliseconds is, let's say this is 178. So in 178 BPMs, 1/8 notes, 1/16 is how many milliseconds. And then you can measure how many milliseconds you actually get for latency. And you can decide if you can work with that or not. I recommend to leave your overall latency below 10, 12, something like that, because after that you will really feel it. But of course, for that you need a powerful iPad, because buffer size itself also is related to latency, and also the, what's that? The kilohertz, like 48 or 41.
Sample rate.
44 sample rate. Yeah, thank you. That also relates to latency. But again, if you are not as nerd as me, don't worry about it. Maybe with the big plugins like Pro L or whatever, maybe test it, because that could be the reason why you're not too accurate on your loops. Maybe it's not on you, but because you have latency. But this is a great way to test if a plugin under the hood does something. And sometimes, for example, okay, I'm not gonna name any other plugins. I said FabFilter because I can't hear them anyways. They are huge and they are awesome, by the way. I'm using all their plugins, so this is not defaming or whatever them. But for the smaller companies, I'm not mentioning anything. Only I'm mentioning that check it for yourself, because sometimes, like, a half of the 16th of the 8th, but it does add. And when you add 5 of that, then you have a problem. So maybe adding one of those is not the problem, but adding 2, 4, 3, 4, 5 of them can cause serious latency that you can avoid by using other plugins or using an equivalent kind of the plugin, like the what we told about the limiter and the clipper trade-off. But this is very nerd shit, I know.
I love nerd shit. What buffer duration are you able to run with that iPad?
So, I'm just recently, in the past couple of weeks, obtained a M4 iPad, which broke my bank account, but
they do that.
This guy can run 64.
Oh, wow. That is great.
Yes, it's super powerful, and you see how much shit do I have. So probably
that's amazing.
More, and it's not even like close to break. Maybe if I really push it or something, but
and that's while you were doing a screen recording for this as well. It still works.
Yeah.
That's great.
But before that, just for again other people who might be I've been in my bitter musician phase, so it's okay to be there. where you say like, oh yeah, but you're like rich guy or whatever. No, first of all, no, I'm not. Unfortunately, not yet. And when I'll be just buy 5 iPads and give it away to everybody. But I used for professional big stages and everything. I used for many years a 2020 iPad Air on the buffer side of 256 with the insane latency. And I still made it work, and I beatboxed on that shit, which is super disturbingly bad feeling.
Wow.
Because, you know, it's your voice, and you feel that latency, and it's really bad. Very, very bad. But still, you can make it work if you want to, and I made it work for 3 years. Did even main stage gigs with other bands playing on that one, so there's no complaint. There's no nothing. And you just got to be smart about your plugin use, and... still at 256, it's a pretty high one. I think in Loopy 512 is the biggest, right? I don't think you support 180.
I don't know. I can't even remember. Maybe.
Yeah. You don't have the option for bigger. But by the way, this is for me what I'm using now: 24-bit, 44.1 kilohertz, and 64. On the buffer.
Right.
So you can make it work. You just have to get used to it. And then when you have more shows and more things and you feel like, uh-oh, my phone died.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't have it on charger because I don't have any more holes. Well, hopefully
I hate running out of
recording
holes.
is... yeah, one more thing to talk about, I think. For me, is using Loopy when you're not alone, or for like an effects pad or something.
Yeah.
Because I have a preset which I'm not gonna switch for now, because actually this is quite sufficient for that too. Where I just use Loopy as a effects device. You know, I'm still having my XY pad noise generator, but basically down here. With these ones, you can see the effects that I would use. So, for example, this is just piano, piano with delay, piano with huge reverb, piano with a filter. You know, like stepped filter, or the tremolo, or reverse delay, which is a lot of fun, or slicer and stuff. So you can do that. But also... I would even recommend Loopy for beatboxers, and I've been talking a lot with beatboxers now that sound guys can fuck you up so much. I'm sorry for swearing, but they can hurt you so much, because beatboxing and also looping is not something that they are used to. They are used to doing bands, and they want to touch everything, and they are not, you know. So the more you have it for yourself, tested, mixed, tested on different speakers, so it's like basically a DJ quality mix or something very close to it, you're in a better position, because you can just tell the sound guy that, hey, nice to meet you, I'm gonna make your night easy, because I would like you to do absolutely nothing to my setup. No low cuts, no compression, no limiter. I have it limited, I have it compressed, I have my low cuts, so please just turn up the volume. For me, I always ask them to turn up the volume until your ear bleeds, then back down a little bit, and then we're fine. You know, because drum and bass, again, aggressive music, rave type, 2 in the morning, I get my show, and people are like already, you know, they need the power of the bass, they need the power of the volume, because, yeah, volume is not just one thing, but it is a big thing. And, you know, it's been proven that whatever sounds louder, it sounds better for the ear. Might not be, but it still sounds better for the ear. So that's why the volume wars, and that's why Lady Gaga is pushing to -4 LUFS being a pop artist. It's not a coincidence. But the point is that even with my beatboxing, I have a little button here that I turn on, and I have a full-on chain just designed for this microphone, my voice, how I want to sound with beatboxing. And I can just turn that off, and usually turn that on and off, and usually I do my shows like that. And by the way, this microphone doesn't have a, you know, on and off switch on it, so I have it. But now you can hear me. So whenever I'm not using the microphone to talk, record anything or whatever, I just turn it off. It lays on the table and it doesn't add additional noise. And it's, again, not your sound guy's job because they forget. They just at the moment when you want to use the mic once in the night, they look at you like this all night. And then just for that moment, they turn around to take a sip of the drink and they are not giving you back in time. You know, you're not relying on anybody like this because you have everything there. And for the beatbox, I have a full-on set, which is lot of bass, lot of everything, and it's here on the here. And whenever I hit that button, it turns all these effects on, everything else off. By the way, I think I was okay, cool. And I can just in comparison without those. That's how it would sound like night and day. I mean, this would still sound quite nice on a speaker system because, again, nice dynamic range and for people like hitting by the bass and whatever. But the other one is cranked up with some enhancers, so it's every little detail are more heard. And here I'm not competing, so why the hell would I use just one straight line microphone? Why on earth would I do that? I want to sound as good as possible and still feel dynamic, and this way the microphone still feels dynamic. And that's it. Like, you can do that. You can have your guitar. I told you I'm using now the iPad for the guitar processing and not the Helix. I have this amp called the Rhino, which is supposed to be a heavy distorted amp, but actually you can make it quite nice to not to be distorted. This is a very CPU heavy amp. So what I did, again, just being smart, just know your things and being smart. Like, not saying that I'm smart, but I'm trying to be. You know, that I figured out, I measured the percentage because it's now in Loopy. Hopefully you know it, that you can tap this little thingy and get the percentage of the usage of the plugins. And of course, when it's idle, it doesn't do anything. But this specific amp, when it has the impulse response turned on, it uses like almost triple of the CPU. So what I did, instead of using the built-in IR, I just found a free IR loader with some free IRs, which is basically nothing, like 1% or something on the CPU. And I use the power amp of this thing, and I use the IR from this free thing, and I have an EQ on it, and goodbye. Have my guitar sound maybe not as beautiful as a tube amp, maybe not even as good as my Helix, but it's really close, and it saves me a lot of money. Maybe don't do this if you're a purely guitar player who needs the sound of the guitar as the main thing, that it's the best possible thing. But if the guitar is just part of your performance, as for me, even though I use it a lot in some cases, for example, for the jazzy stuff or when I play with a band, we can talk about that also, still, it's worth it. It's just worth it. Like, the amount of travels, it's still very good, and I never ever heard anybody coming to me like, oh man, your guitar sounds so plastic. No, actually the opposite happened many times, that wow, your guitar sounds so crisp and present, and like, I love it. Cool, I'm happy. So yeah,
have your cake and eat it too.
yeah, exactly. I know it's a compromise, and I can feel it's a little bit of a compromise, but again, you have to pick your poison sometimes. Okay, one last thing, playing with a band. Like, if I were you, I would try doing this, because right now there's a band that I play with a lot, and they invite me more and more times, because the world is changing, man. It's a little bit horrible, but also you have to adapt to it. And now there's less money for bands and less money in music in general. Like, if you're how they say it, the gap or the scissor thing is opening up, so whoever is on top, they get even more money, and whoever is not on top, they just get less. right? Because the market changed, because you say that, hi, I'm doing this, I'm 2 times the loop station champion, 1 time second place world championer in beatbox, and they're like already, who the fuck cares? How much you want? And I'm saying my price, and they're like, no way. That's how it works now, because if they don't give me the gig, then there's gonna be somebody, maybe even an amateur, who's doing it even for free, and they don't care about the quality too much. So the market changed a lot, all I'm saying, and even established bands are a little bit struggling, because they are always want to give them less and less money year by year, which is ridiculous, because with inflation, it's the most ridiculous thing that you had a price and now you have to go for less.
Yep.
It doesn't even make sense, like, but still they really want you. Like, it's like, okay, I can either say no and get out of business, or make some negotiations, or as a band, sometimes you can make some cuts and say that, okay, I'll do it, but I won't come with 3 singers and I won't come with a full band, but I will come drummer, a guy with a loop station playing the bass, keys and guitars, basically, and 1 singer. And then if you spread the money, like, to less people, you can still earn a little bit less or more. So this is a more upcoming situation for loopers. And even some of the keyboard players I know, they train more to play one hand on one synth, the bass, and the other hand the harmony, and still keep track of the synth sounds and everything, because that way they get more gigs, because they do the work of 2, basically. So this is an option for you to set up a system where you just loop all the instrumentals for me. I loop all the instrumentals, I send a click track to the drummer, and he plays on that click track, and I make the instrumental part of it. So that's an option, just for you to be aware. That's an option to really, really explore in this time and age, because
that's
tough.
interesting. So it sounds to me like looping is becoming something that's more relevant because of the economics.
Because it's a cool thing, I think, because let's be honest, like, in this time and age, like, the new things are always more interesting. Like, you've seen in the past century so many guitar virtuosos. Like, you've seen Steve Vai, you've seen John Petrucci, you've seen the guy from Avenged Sevenfold, the Sinister Gates guy, whatever. Like, there's so many. Guthrie Govan, you can mention so many. And it's still interesting for the niche, but these guys were able to get into pop culture at some point also. Not anymore, because guitar playing has become a little bit basic. Everybody can, quote unquote, everybody can play guitar. Guitar became an established instrument. So now, if a guy comes called Jacob Collier, who's obviously an amazing musician, but he be part of pop culture also a little bit, even though he's doing crazy jazz stuff, is because he's having that energy and vibe, but also because he plays all the little instruments, like all the little weird percussion stuff, the piano, he sings, and like this one-man band feeling that is started basically again around Dub FX era, and it still was very a niche thing, and nowadays it expands more. In the beatbox culture, we have battled for this, that everything, you're looping, but everything has to come from the voice, but you can do crazy effects, so very entertaining and very crazy battles. And, there are big ones. I don't know how many beatbox looper watching, if you're a beatbox looper, hi, hello. If you're not still hi, but you should know that there are big competitions, thousands of people watching, literally thousands of people, people, whatever, I don't know. And now for the past 3 years, it's been in Tokyo. It's a huge thing. It's called the Grand Beatbox Battle, GBB. Now there's an online equivalent called the KBB, the Kickback Beatbox Battle, that is online watched by a lot of people. It is a thing. It's becoming a capital letter thing. And whenever I do like gigs that is not my gig, but I go to supporting act or whatever, people already know about looping. So they say like, oh yeah, I've seen looping before on TikTok or whatever, but it just feels different live. That's the most common comment that I get, in maybe different wording, but the message is kind of this, that in live it feels so cool that you see what's happening, you can keep track of what's happening kind of if you want to, but the live energy of one guy is being the crazy scientist, you know, touching all these buttons, and you can see that it correlates to what he does. People really do enjoy that.
Yeah.
They are more part of the music.
Would you say that that's the main thing that separates a looper from a producer?
Yeah, a producer or DJ producer, that there's live interaction and there's a possibility of failing. Like the possibility of failing is way higher than with DJing, because you can mess up DJing, even DJing you can mess up. But the possibility is higher, so it becomes a bit more circus act thingy also, that you're like, you know, like going around and you have all these devices and my energy has to be different than if I know that I'm just queuing the next track, tempo matching it and launching the next track, and you know, I'm having the party. Even if I'm a high energy DJ, it's a different kind of energy than constantly being in touch with music and constantly influencing the flow of music. Like it's a different energy. I don't know what to say, and hope it's not too woo-woo to some of the viewers that, oh, energy, whatever. It is.
I'm all for the woo-woo. Do you feel like the art is in general still evolving? Where would you like to see it go in terms of tech, style, cultural recognition?
Well, I mean, we all know that, for example, I don't know if you guys seen Ed Sheeran performing live. He's doing basic looping, but people enjoy it so much. So I wouldn't say that I want to see it on big stages, because it's already on big stages.
Yeah.
I did it on big stages too, but I want it to be more desired by people. I really hope that it becomes more desired, and I really hope that the musicians and the listeners also realize that although the idea is the same, I press a button, it records me and plays back, but there are so many ways to integrate this to your music, your style, your personality, your whatever. And what I want to see is this thing spreading music to everybody. And if you had excuses before that, oh, I can't be in a band, or can't be like, you know, I can't find the right people, whatever, it still gives you opportunity to express yourself, to bring change, to influence others or give ideas to others, and most importantly to have fun and connect with people through music and through your music, your idea, your thinking. It's a little bit like, I hope that people soon, the non-musicians who see this, who hope that soon they can see it as looking into a person's mind and soul and heart and artistry at the same time, because you literally do that. Like, you literally think something alone, how would I structure it, what would I say, it's my lyrics, or it's my energy, it's my style, it's my thing, and I give a piece of it, not just give a piece of it for you, but I show you how I made it. I show you how it's done. I show you every piece of it. You know, it's the ultimate self-reflection. I don't know how to say it. That is open to the public, while they can have good fun and dance and whatever, if it's that kind of music. But it can be also deeply emotional music. It could be anything. It's you. It's 100% you, and that's the most interesting thing, that you create a whole musical piece. And it's, you know, vocals are so popular because it's you, because you cannot, you know, and that's why people sometimes bitch about auto-tune and stuff like that, that it's the only thing that it's special about vocal, it's gone. I don't agree with that, but I see the idea there. But here it is literally just you, and creating a full spectrum music alone. And it's so exciting, and I really hope that people seeing more live looping music, they start to differentiate between live and not live stuff, and they as AI gets space, I think it's amazing that it gets space, but I really hope that also raises the hunger for live stuff live.
Yeah. You won Vocal Total in 23, took it by storm, and then you announced that you were stepping back from doing battles. What led you to that?
Well, actually, the thing is that I started battling because it's like beatbox battle, so you have to do everything from the voice. And I enjoy playing instruments so much. I enjoy not to be restricted by battle rules so much, which was a really cool phase in my life. And I won 2021 Kickback, I won Vocal Total 23, and in 2020 I had a third place online GBB. So I had some competitions, and but with looping I felt like that I just like too much to play my instruments. I like too much to be this unlimited pusher of the scene rather than just pusher of the battle scene. And I really enjoy still looking at the battles, but it's a lot of effort to get ready for a battle. It's a lot of effort. So still, I think it's a very valuable and entertaining and amazing thing. But personally, after winning 2 big ones, starting to judge in other competitions, I felt like that I just want to pursue my dreaming of replacing DJs, and I need all my energy for that. So
yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Where does that energy come from? How do you personally stay excited and invested in what you're doing? And what is driving you right now?
This vision that these memories, those concert memories that I'm making constantly, but there are of course big ones that are impacting me even more. But I don't know how to say this, but for me, music is the one thing that I'm so fucking passionate about, and it never flickered for a moment. It's even when I'm tired and washed out and whatever, and feel like I don't want to practice, and I start to practice, and in 2 minutes I'm in such a flow that I don't realize that I didn't pee for 6 hours and my bladder is exploding. And sorry for just saying such a disgusting example, but this is how much passionate I am about music. And
what a gift.
It's I don't know, it's just something that makes me so happy just to listen to. Others makes me so happy to make it. And it's completely fine if it's just a fun thing for you and you practice only whenever you are feel like it or whatever. It's more than fine. Music is also can be a hobby. It doesn't have to be a life passion. But for me, I found it when I was 14, 13, something like that, and almost immediately I knew it that shit, I'm in trouble because I'm enjoying this on a different level. And of course, with the education I've been in, you were more forced to think like that. You should be a doctor, you should be a lawyer, you should be something that is valuable for everybody, whatever, I don't know. But for me, this was the most valuable thing that I could ever do. And I've been through a lot, experienced a lot. I've been through phases where I didn't get any money of it. Been through phases when money just flowed like crazy, and I feel like that's still, I don't give a shit. I wouldn't change it any day. And I heard a quote also by this amazing guitar player called Guthrie Govan, and that quote, I heard it back in 2014, 15, something like that, and he quoted somebody also. So I guess this is a beautiful cycle to give them knowledge on. But the point is that if you want to be a musician, never ever, don't do it. But if you have to be a musician, it's the best thing you could ever do. Just this differentiation between the two is really important, because it can save you years of struggling and questioning yourself and everything. And it is okay to keep music in your life and not to be a musician. And I think you should chase a career in music only if you're in your own way obsessed about it. It doesn't have to be the bladder exploding way, but you know you.
Ideally.
And yeah. I hope it's not gonna happen. But you know you and your ways of your mind or soul or heart or whatever signaling that this is where I'm happy at. But if you have that and you're not becoming a musician, fuck you. You're depriving the world of so much joy and so much beauty. Then you have to become. That's the meaning of this quote, at least for me. That on one side there is this: if you need to chase it, or if you want it for the fame or the money or for the whatever, you're gonna end up sad even if you make it. Because yes, but when you have this inner pull towards it, it will reshape you in so many ways. That be prepared. Like if I would share a video from 2015, being on the street, being a tiny, innocent, chubby little kid, having big dreams and looking like a lunchbox, it's like, that was the reality for that time. But thanks to music, I traveled all over the world. I played big gigs, small gigs. I learned to appreciate, and not just appreciate, but genuinely and instinctively appreciate, even if I play to one person, because it happened in my career that the room was empty. Literally, it was empty, and still I was so damn happy. And I went to that one person because that one person somehow, that one is always staying. I don't know why, but and I went up to them and hugged them and said, like, man, I appreciate so much that you listened to what I did, because I felt so much this vibe that even that one person not having others to pull him in the energy, and he still stays and say, like, I want to listen to this shit. And for me, it means the word that I can share my energy with somebody like that. And it's a back and forth thing. It opened up so many things in my mind, in my life, questioning so much about myself, but in a good way, like in a self-reflective and opening up way. And I can't wait to see that after practically 10-12 years of doing this, where the next 10-12 takes me. And I'm so grateful for every single every single part of it, all the bad and all the good, because there's gonna be bad parts anyways. Like there's gonna be parts when you're gonna be maybe sad about it, like, oh shit, I don't make any money and I should, and blah blah blah, and how do I make a living out of blah 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 blah. It's all gonna happen. It's part of the evolution. And if it's not good for you, and tell me how you did it. But even if you chase a career being a doctor, you're gonna have that nights when you just being at the laptop and looking like this and try to learn some body parts or whatever. I don't know what doctors do, but there's gonna be some downs and some ups. So the absolute most important thing that I'm trying to say, that whatever has a pull for your heart, that's the one that you have to, not should, have to do. Because you're depriving a word, a good doctor, you're depriving a word, a good musician, a good whatever, a good person. Because if you follow what you have to do, then you become a greater person than you could ever imagine along the way. Because it's like, I don't like to use these words because I'm not even sure what it means, but somehow still it feels the fitting word, that it's kind of your karmic way to do. It's your calling or whatever.
Yeah, what you're here for.
Yeah, I'm not sure about these things, because also I've opened up to spirituality from being a complete atheist. I opened up to it, and now I'm not really sure what I'm, I'm not sure what I'm believing in, but I'm believing my eyes and my experience, and some of these things are undeniable. If I would tell you some of the stories I had, undeniable proof that it's not just like, it's not about just you. It's not about just, there's something, especially like if you ever played music for more than 10 person, it's a collective thing there's some unity happening there that it's really hard to explain.
Yeah. We're not very good in modern Western society at subjectivity. We're good at objectivity, but we don't have any tools to deal with those kinds of parts of life. But there is a there. There's something. We just don't have the science to say what it is, but it's there. And being able to have a calling, to recognize it, to be able to follow it, that is such a blessing.
Can I ask you something? I know, and you're the interviewer, not the interviewee.
Go for it.
What made you find your path that you want to make the ultimate looper for people?
I don't know.
It's so specific. How did that happen?
I don't know. It was similar. It was just this calling. It was, there was all this stuff I should have been doing, and I just felt called to doing that. It was what I was like on rails. That was where I was headed, and I couldn't have done otherwise. I don't know.
Because I know that you had Loopy before as like a more simple device, and I remember Beardy Man having like 2012. Is that even possible? Having a video with his phone and just recording 3 loops on Loopy.
Yeah, I think that was DubFX doing that. Yeah. It's been a long time, and it's just gotten more. It's gotten more. I don't know, something about. I think it's like you talk about playing to a crowd. It's a bit like that. There's this collective energy, and when I start seeing the things that people do with it and the stuff that it enables them to do, it's just such a it's a real, it's just a kick in the backside. Like it's just that it propels me. Yeah, there's something collective.
It is, and understanding and realizing this, that the saying that we are all one, it has something to it. For me, it was a very scary, but very eye-opening moment to realize this.
Yeah.
And through music, I realized it, and I lived it many times, and I don't know how to explain it. I don't know what to say for the science nerds because I don't have the language to it, but I know what I see, I know what I experienced, and if somebody tells me that music is just ones and zeros, I'm going to say like, okay, enjoy life.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say. No, it's not. Maybe you can write it down with ones and zeros, but it doesn't mean that it's just that. It's something fucking sacred. And being able to do it alone, so the social dynamics, some timings of life, whatever, it's not in the way. In 2025, where everything is always in the way, even when it's not from bad intention, it's just life itself, is the biggest fucking gift that I could ever get. And thank you so much for it, man. I really, really appreciate this program and the possibility for me to express myself and my mind through this. I'm so grateful, man.
Thank you. That's why I do it. That's the kick. Oh man.
Beautiful.
I don't know if there's anywhere to take it after that. I have more questions.
Closing,
I could talk to you forever, but I don't know how you could possibly top that. I want one more thing. I want to ask you about the album. Can you tell me about what it was like to make it? Did you use Loopy Pro as part of that? And what was your creative process, and how is it having it out in the world now? It's a great album, by the way. I listened to it on loop today. Oh yeah, it's brilliant. Damn. Great energy in it.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Wow. It had some Loopy Pro in it, but more in the effect side, because as I told you that I have an input channel that is already like basically a premix of the things that I can then further sculpt, but for some of the synths, pianos, whatever, I play it through Loopy and play it through the setup, so it's like pre-juiced, so I don't have to do the pre-juice, which I would do it anyways in Ableton, the channel juice. It's just more efficient in time, again, that I don't lose time, that I have to start everything from scratch. It's basically a template even for my composing part, and also some of the songs when again, it's just options. Sometimes you just start to create in Ableton and it flows. Sometimes you have one thing that you know that you want, but you're not sure how to communicate it. Sometimes it's like when you, like this, exactly when you know the idea, but you have to stop for a second, like, how do I do this? And at that moment, sometimes I just write whatever I have, let's say a drum loop, I export it, press airdrop, put it on my iPad, pull it in, and I jam over the top of the drum loop that I like. Or if I have like a chord structure and the drums, I just put both in there and try to find the right bass note and just go with hours and find different ones while it's looping. I know I could do it inside Ableton, but it's not the same because sometimes even the chords or the drums, I just press these buttons that I have already, and sometimes I find something with it like, oh shit, wow, this sounds so good, it should be in there. Like one of the songs, Mantra, there's in the middle section, there's some glitchy things to the vocals, and then that part, it was coming from here actually. Having the acapella in Loopy and pressing different buttons, and it was like, like these glitchy thingies, and like, ooh, with this one it sounds so good, I want to have it there. And I did the equivalent then, not equivalent, but a version of it in Ableton, but having the idea from jamming with Loopy. Yeah. So yeah, and again, my creative process is I didn't say it in the beginning, maybe I should have, but I do a lot of improvisation with bands that are made for improvisation, and I do a lot of improvisation myself in my sets. So if you search my sets, you won't see a set that doesn't have improvisation parts to it. Back then, I did fully improvised, and now that I start to have songs and ideas that something similar worked always, because sometimes you're in a gig and like, this crowd is not feeling it, or maybe I'm not feeling it, but I need to do something. And then you remember that time when you played something like that and it worked so much, and you try to recreate it. And I started to record these, and they become some core ideas that became some songs. And that's I think a very organic and very beautiful way to build a set, to have moments that is like never to be repeated, and then have moments where it's kind of planned, and when it's like second by second planned. And now I have all of them in my set, and the organic improvisation part sometimes is sparking for a song. So for example, the song Suddenly, the instrumental part with that Reese bass thingy, which is going this dead limit kind of thing, I play that live, and that singer who's singing on the track, her name is Zsófi Varga, and we played so much together over the years, and she saw it in my story, and she's just sending something like, oh, this goes so hard or something. And then on another gig, I played this idea because I had it already there, and I also remembered that, some people like this. So when I had that moment of like, oh, what do I do? They are not feeling it. I played something similar there, and she reacted on it again. Something like, wow, this is so good. And I was like, she reacted the same thing 2 times. It must become something, So that was the core idea, and from there I built the songs.
That's great. It's like battle testing.
Yeah. I believe a lot in this finding moments, that when you just do something, and sometimes you just jam for yourself and you feel like that, oh, that I found it. But sometimes it happens live, and for me it's even better because I'm more connected emotionally to that idea. And yeah, whenever I need to push, I stop, sometimes even just delete and say like, okay, from scratch, or let's see, recording from the past. I have a 360 camera, and I record almost every gig of mine, which is a lot of storage. But I have it, and some of them I never even watched it. But these moments where I'm like trying to do something and it's just not coming together, I'm like, okay, delete, let's open up something. And I take some food or a drink or whatever. I sit in a cafe, order coffee, and just watch for 1-2 hours one of the gigs. And sometimes I find nothing, and sometimes like that. Okay, I'm going to work from that. And then it starts to flow. So it's inspiring, you're finding ways to inspiring yourself. And it's deeply personal. For some people, this wouldn't work. For some, it would work magically. So, yeah.
I'm going to bring it back down with a lightning round. Because you've got to have a lightning round. Okay.
There's a lightning round.
There is, yeah. Everyone is going to want to know. You've mentioned some already, but what are your favorite effect plugins?
Looperator, 100%. Pro Q3, because it's just a Swiss Army knife, you know. And Knock Clipper, because it's just a 2-bit super. It's just some clippers are so like, wow, next level. But this is just what it is. It's a clipper. Use it. You know, I like those kind of things sometimes. But yeah, probably these.
That's great. What about your favorite piece of gear?
Modwave.
Yeah. Yeah.
Core Modwave. It's amazing.
Yeah, it is a wonderful piece of kit. All right. What is the smallest change to your setup that's made the biggest difference to you?
I had a lot. But for now, maybe I mentioned the guitar stuff. That was a really big one. Because carrying less cabling, less, setting up. That was a very big change of pre-gig efforts with the traveling, but also with setting up the gear itself. So that was a big one. But I would say in general, everything that got the fluff out, you know, because before I had a huge setup of a full table of 60 to 120 centimeters. Had Chaos Pad, Roland MX1, the RC505 Mark II, the Korg Modwave, and the Helix down there. And I also used the condenser microphone, which needed a phantom power generator, so I had even that, and it was a nightmare, man.
Wow, that is a lot of stuff to go wrong and to plug together.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
And now it's just a sound card, Modwave, and the iPad, and the guitar.
Yeah, that's not much. Sweet. Easy for traveling. What is your favorite Loopy Pro feature?
There's too many. Again, I would go a bit general, but the fact that one button can do so many things with the different interaction modes. I didn't say, by the way, I have some stuff cooked in the loops. So, for example, if I go long swipe down, it reverses. And if I double tap, I can do further overdubbing, and long pressing is removing the overdubbing. So I have those also, and that's so good that one button can do so many actions also, but also tapping it differently or interacting with it differently that's a game changer. And that's something that I was backed for when the MK2 came out. We had some contact with the developers, and I was like, there are so many buttons that I want to like long press or double press, and that's where the bank change came from. That I wasn't the only one saying this, by the way, so not taking any credit of it, but we were begging for it to have different interaction modes with the different buttons, or at least a function change button, that you have the undo button kind of idea, and that works so beautifully in Loopy. I love it.
That's great. It's about efficiency, isn't it? Like being able to get the best out of the pixels.
That less button pressing, but more buttons. So at the end of the day, same amount of button pressing, but so much more making sense, and you don't have to learn these weird muscle memory movements where it's like that, and then you don't do your like. For me, I did my battle rounds for the battle, and then I needed to perform in a showcase, and I was like, fuck, I need to relearn that full round because I don't remember which buttons to press. And here, I make the buttons, they do so many things, and I don't need to relearn because it's part of the instrument and I can even label them. But it's an instrument, so that button is not specific to the track. It's a button that it does that, like, you know.
Yeah, yeah. I'm going to step out of the lightning round for a moment because that made me think of another question I would like to hear from you about. You have one template that you use for everything. Is that right? Because I know lots of people who have a template for each song. What are the pros and cons for you? Why one template that does everything for you?
Because it's a monster template and it keeps evolving. So if I do a song and I need a specific Looperator setup, or if I need something, I integrate it into the template. So live, if I improvise, I even have that option in a random situation, which results in a random other, well, not random, but in another end result. So if I have that I write a looper song, which I'm going to have recorded a lot, and now I have just one with Loopy Pro out, no, two with Loopy Pro out. But I'm going to have a lot more because I have them. I just need to record and say that, okay, it's good enough. But the thing is that if I want something specific for that song, I can still make it, find some place for it, or do a different action or a different button and integrate into the setup rather than create these different things and then just go between them, which is also not too convenient because when I perform, it's more like, again, DJ style. So I'm not really stopping between songs. I'm not like song and then stop, people clap. I'm like a playlist playing and sometimes take everything out or filter it down and talk to the people. But for that style, it's just not efficient to have more setups. It's just one big monster setup is the way.
Yeah. That is very cool. Well, now that your album is done, what are you up to? Any new projects in the works, or are you sleeping for 5 years? What are you up to now?
I wish. Actually, it's now is the phase where it's actually happening. So I had all those battles. I had one album during COVID, but that was a mess for many reasons. And also, as I told you, I evolved so much as a human being, as a performer, as a looping artist, as a beatboxer, as an instrumentalist, as a composer, as a producer. And right now, first time ever in my life, and now I just turned 30 in February. And first time in my life, I feel like that I'm happy with the stuff that I'm releasing and the videos that are coming out. There were so many other videos that were supposed to come out or came out, and I asked the organizers to, can you just not? I'm not so happy with it. They're like, no, it's so good. And I'm like, yeah, but I don't know. You know, this self-doubt, this everything.
Perfection
and
mode.
Right now, yeah, exactly. And right now, I'm in a different mindset. And even if the performance has some mistakes, first of all, I learned to make mistakes. That's a big one. To recover from mistakes. And sometimes I'm the only one knowing it's a mistake. Which is the end goal, I guess. And sometimes I can just take it with grace, you know. There was a huge show in Barcelona in a venue called Razzmatazz. It's kind of legendary, like whoever plays in Barcelona is a big name, kind of they play there. And I was so looking forward to it. And I did something, which I don't know what, but I pressed something and the sound were cut in mid-set. And I was like, oh my God, this is my dream gig and what the hell is happening? And 2-3 years ago, I would have freaked out or whatever. And in this situation, I think I stopped like, whoa, what's happening? I was like, I don't know, but I didn't feel freaked out. I was just like, what is going on? So I restarted Loopy and nothing happened. And I'm like, oh, that's weird. So I restarted my sound card and then it started to work. And immediately as I started to work, people didn't know it yet. I saw it that, oh, we are back online. And I was like putting my microphone and I was acting like if I'm speaking. So I was like, you know. But what I did is I put the beatbox setup. And I was like. We're back. And like started like, you know, to kind of recover, because that moment is that they're like, the guy is freaking out, what is happening? That moment is going to an instant burst of sound and they're like, whoa, you know, like they were so happy about it.
Masterful.
You know, but you cannot do this when you're not in that headspace, or you're not that intuitively whatever, which I wasn't. But since I've been through a lot, you know, these things are started to just happen like that, and you get more comfortable. That's it, what I'm trying to say, that now in a phase where I'm finally happy to put out shit, and I'm doing that, so no sleeping, no nothing. Now it's high quality and, well, hopefully quality, but high quantity of big things going out. So in a couple of weeks ago, there was a release of a performance from Loop Mayhem, which is a loop station based event, which is what we are talking about. No DJs but loopers. There are some DJs for after parties also, but like 4, 6, 5, 8 hours of looping non-stop, like rave style. And I was part of that twice, and it's, by the way, it's happening in September, Germany. So if anybody is watching, it's not official yet, but whatever, you'll see. Follow Loop Mayhem and go to these looping festivals. It's crazy.
Yeah, Loop Lab too.
Yeah, Loop Lab in
amazing.
Also not official, so I'm not saying anything, but go follow them. And these events are happening for now in Germany, but hopefully it's going to conquer the world. Go follow Loop Station Battles. And I had a 1 hour, like 70 minutes performance coming out. I'm so happy about that. There are another Loop Mayhem from last year. There's Loop Lab performance from December that were like put out and really nice quality with multiple cameras, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Now my album is out. I have some live recordings that I already have, and then I'm just waiting for the album thing to calm down and then put out the new stuff. So
can't wait.
Now I have a lot of things. Yeah. I have 30 minutes home drum and bass madness loop station thingy that I want to send to labels that I'm getting some better connections within the industry, and I want to send it to the big guys, because finally I'm like feeling like I had it before, but I was like, I don't want to send this. I can do better. And I got to the point where I'm like, yeah, I can do better, but I don't give a shit. I want to show where I'm at right now.
It's pretty damn good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like anyone watching this, stop watching this right now and go and watch some of the live sets that Kristóf did, because they are just unbelievable. Yeah.
Thanks, man. The Loop Mayhem 360 is pretty much what I want to do. I'm really happy with that, and big shout out to Jaylan, the singer who I performed with.
Yeah, she's great.
That was such a good set. Loop Mayhem 360.
Yeah.
Kristóf7s, Jaylan said. If you want to check that out, if you made it to 3 hours of interview, probably you're gonna check it out.
Yeah, for sure. That's pretty epic. Yeah. I mean, I can't wait for everything else that you make. It is unbelievable. Where can people find you online, apart from searching for you on YouTube?
Yeah, now I have the YouTube channel on Remake, but it's Kristóf7s everywhere. So on Instagram, Kristóf7s. Now, finally on Spotify, also going through the rebranding, but it's Kristóf7s. I even had a TikTok channel that I stopped because it's a big bit of a weird segment of the internet. But if you want to check those older contents to see where I was years ago with Loopy and see where I'm at now, you can check that too. Cool. And yeah.
And where can people find your new album, Shocked?
Yeah, that's on every platform. Hopefully DistroKid did their work and it's on every platform, but mainly, of course, on Spotify, Apple Music, whatever.
Where can we buy it?
Actually, I'll be honest with you. If I can make with any listener, viewer, a deal, rather than buying it, just go and give me a follow on those platforms. These days, it's just worth way more than the cash.
Wow.
Like way damn more. If you just go and follow me on Instagram or go follow me on Spotify and Instagram, maybe even if you add YouTube, you would make me so much more happier than if you would buy the album. I'll be honest with you. It's insane how the world changed, and yeah, it works way more. And if you want to interact with me, we can do it on Instagram. And one thing for everybody, I'm not sharing my template, but I'm willing to explain anything the hell you want. And there's a reason for it. I don't believe in handing stuff like this. I believe in understanding concepts and making your own of it. And I know that some of you would say that, no, but I would understand by watching it. I promise you would understand way clearer and easier if I would explain a feature for you specifically in a voice note on Instagram. Just hit me up. If I don't answer, hit me up again, because that happens, because I'm bad with messages. So it's nothing personal. But yeah, if you have any questions about what we talked or any concept that you try to develop or whatever, you can do that. But if you want to go deeper, I also do private coachings for loopers. And some of the current winners and upcoming artists from the beatbox loop community is already my students. So we can do that. We can talk about that, and then we can go specifically into your setup and listen to your music and see where we can, be more efficient, be more this, be more that. I can teach you about mixing maybe this was too foreign to you, the whole mixing stuff. So yeah, but if you have basic questions, I'm even happy to answer that for free. No questions, like, if it's just a 2-minute sound voice message for you, I'm happy. But I don't believe in sharing templates and presets and stuff like that, because I think the main thing is getting lost there to understanding music on a deeper level.
It's a give a man a fish, teach a man to fish kind of deal, isn't it?
Yeah, a little bit. Exactly. I'm not a gatekeeper. I'm not withholding information. As you can see, like in this 3 hour, I revealed everything of my stuff basically, and I'm happy to do that, but on my own terms and my own belief system, within my belief system, and hope that's okay. And yeah, that's it.
I don't imagine how anyone could have an issue with that. You're such a generous educator.
It happened a couple of times.
Oh, well. It's no accounting for taste.
It's okay. And we, with all of the people who had issues with that, we talked about it, and I think they understood it. At least that's what they said. And I gave them some tips if they wanted. But yeah, that's the way how I operate. And also, by the way, there's if beatbox loopers or whatever, there's a site called lyrebird.com. And there I have like master courses that I did over the past years, and you can purchase that after. So it's more battle specific, but also there's one, as far as I remember, that was like 2 days masterclass, like very long ones, all about effects, basic stuff, looping, how to structure, blah 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 blah. So you can check that out and purchase that if you want to. But again, a follow is it means way more to me. Let people know that this is happening. Send my music to them or my videos to them. Your friends, your looper friends, your musician friends. That would mean the world to me. And yeah.
Do it. Takes but a moment. Kristóf, I really can't thank you enough for the generosity of brain dumping for 3 hours. It was such a joy for me to see. And it's why I do what I do. It is the best thing. I'm so glad to see Loopy Pros helping you do the magic that you do. Thank you for your time.
I really appreciate it, man, and I really, really appreciate Loopy Pro as it is. And thank you so much. You gave such a present for the word and for the music word, and I promise you I do my best for the rest of the world, not just us loopers and musicians seeing it, but for the rest of the world seeing it, that this is the way and this is the program, the shit,
This is the way.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you. I can't wait to see what you come up with next. It's going to be fun watching this crazy
Hopefully
career.
Soon I come up with new stuff enough that we have to do a part 2, sorry.
Yeah, for sure. Let's do it.
Yeah. Big ups, man.
Okay. Thank you.